These companies support the Thom Hartmann Program. They are HelloFresh, the #1 meal kit delivery service. More information at hellofresh.com, code TOM. CB Distillery for sleeping and pain relief. More info at cbdistillery.com, code TOM. Dinovite, only the best all-natural pet supplements. More info at dinovite.com. Annie's Kit Clubs, creativity delivered right to your door. More info at annieskitclubs.com/Tom. Wild Alaskan Company, delicious, sustainably sourced seafood delivered right to your door. More information at wildalaskancompany.com/Tom. And Mack Weldon, reinventing men's basics. More info at macweldon.com/Tom.
We say fight back!
It's another day in the Free Speech TV Fund Drive, another opportunity for you to participate, and boy, is this cool. Our frontline funders, Andrew in San Diego and Mike in San Francisco, have decided to pitch in and offer a $10,000 match. So your gift gets doubled, particularly if you give it by texting. They're really excited about this new text program where you can just, give to Free Speech TV on your phone by texting FSTV to 44321. Easy to remember, 44, like 44, but it's 44321, right? As the numbers go down, and you will immediately get a text back with a link. You click on the link, and it'll pop up the browser in your smartphone or your tablet. And if you text out of your tablet, in fact, some folks can text out of their computer, in fact. And that will open the page where the Free Speech TV page that will show you how the fundraiser is going, how much they've raised altogether toward their goal, and you can just with a click, make your donation. And so it's great. We've got a $10,000 match today. So your gift, your $1,000 becomes $2,000, your $10 becomes $20, your $100 becomes $200. And Free Speech TV offers all kinds of really kind of cool goodies to go along with that. With a $20 gift, there's the Free Speech TV sticker, either the sticker, the bumper sticker kind of sticker, or the clear kind of clingy, window sticker. With a $50 gift, there's the Free Speech TV tote bag available in 2 elegant models. With a $75 gift, you can get the Free Speech TV hat or the Free Speech TV official Thom Hartmann Program mug. Only available here and now. With a $100 gift, there's the notebook and pen, the Free Speech TV branded notebook and pen, or the Free Speech TV branded socks. Very elegant. With a $120 gift, this book, The Hidden History of American Healthcare, Why Sickness Bankrupts You and Makes Others Insanely Rich. This book, while it took me about a year to write this book, in many ways, I've been writing this book for the 18 years I've been doing this program. Healthcare has been a recurrent issue in the rants that I do and the concerns that I have and the guests that I have. There's a chapter in here about Wendell, Wendell Potter, who's a regular program on this program, back in the day when the backstory of when he worked in the insurance industry and the horrors that he witnessed. There is a how-to and how to bring about single-payer health care, how to do Medicare. There's a Medicare for All. There's a chapter warning about Medicare Advantage if you want to tell your friends about that scam. That's a chapter in the book. There's lots of really solid information. This, I think, is probably one of the most comprehensive, easy to read. A lot of storytelling in the book. It's a short book. It's only, where'd my copy go? It's around here someplace. Anyway, it's only 140 pages, 150 pages at the most. It's something that you can read, in a day if you're a fast reader, and very accessible. So that's with a $120 gift, and you get an autographed copy, which makes it worth a little bit more if you're going to sell it on eBay. Or with a $120 gift, you can get the Free Speech TV T-shirt. With a $240 gift, hang out with me for an hour and a couple of other people. Typically, it's fewer than 10. or fewer than a dozen, and we get together on Zoom for an hour, and one of the folks from Free Speech TV will moderate it, and you can you can ask me anything, and it's not recorded, it's not broadcast. We can talk about anything you'd like to talk about. That's with a $240 gift. With a $360 gift, there's the Thom Hartmann University box, which is the Free Speech TV socks, the Free Speech TV bumper sticker, a copy of an autographed copy of my brand new book, The Hidden History of American Healthcare, the Thom Hartmann Program mug, or the Free Speech TV hat. And with a $1,000 gift, of course, get in line to come visit us here in Portland and visit our humble studio. And it really is. We're in an office building. It's a very, very simple configuration. It's kind of funky. There's piles of books all over the place. Of course, this is where I work, so there's piles of, it's just like my home. There's piles of books all over there. There's thousands of books. And, you can hang out on our couch and meet Sean and Nate and Joyce and have a good time. And I think that's going to come. I think probably, within 6 months or so, we're all going to be vaccinated and feel safe enough that we can do these kinds of things. But right now, it's just a matter of getting in line and getting ready. So those are the goodies, but the bottom line, $10,000 match today. Whatever you give will be doubled. You can also sign up when you call in to 877-378-8669 or go to freespeech.org or text 44321. Text FSTV to 44321. If you do that during this program, these are the premiums that are available to you, and our show gets the brownie points for it and all that kind of stuff. But
this is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Well, happy autumnal equinox at 12:30 this afternoon, Portland time. I guess at 3:30 East Coast time. It officially becomes autumn, and it's kind of feeling like it outside. Anyhow, great to have you with us. We've got a big show today. In our first hour, I want to start out with trickle-down authoritarianism and how we really need to stop it. Also, I want to get into the health insurance industry claiming another victim, and blue states showing how listening to science actually works. In our second hour, we have a significant warning has been issued about the 2024 election. We'll get to that. And Senator Sheldon Whitehouse is going to drop by to talk about the Kavanaugh scheme and the capture of the Supreme Court. Also, we've got the story of kids rising up to save banned books by or about people like Rosa Parks, Maya Angelou, and Martin Luther King. And Professor Richard Wolff will be with us in the third hour today about the Chinese property group Evergrande and how this could cause a crisis in America. So we've got a lot that we're going to be covering today, as well as just other kind of random news. But I want to start with trickle-down authoritarianism. This is both making life miserable for us, but it's also killing Americans. It has killed over 600,000 Americans, in fact, and it needs to stop. We've always had this dark undercurrent of authoritarianism. I mean, going back to slave owners going to war with the North over their right to own and control other human beings, to Joe McCarthy's demented and phony rants about communists in the State Department, to Nixon's so-called war on drugs. But Donald Trump and his followers have taken it just a huge step further. And the result is over 660,000 dead Americans, most of whom would still be alive today if Trump had just listened to the scientists. And now everyday Americans, from school board members to election volunteers to retail clerks in stores, are quitting their jobs because they're tired of having to deal with these Trump-inspired authoritarian bullies. Trump and his fellow sociopaths in the elected Republican Party class see a clear advantage to themselves in encouraging threats of violence against public officials and volunteers involved in running voting operations. Why? Well, if they can get enough of them to resign and put in their place the new, people who the new voter suppression laws empower to just randomly throw out votes from areas where I think there's some fraud in this precinct. Well, we'll just set those votes aside for the moment. Effectively, retroactively creating provisional ballots for entire neighborhoods, like entire black neighborhoods, entire college towns. They figure if they can do this, they can shave off enough points that Republicans can control red states forever. But what does that, and I get that, right? I mean, that's partisan politics, and we all understand that. It's terrible, but, we get that. But how does that justify Ron DeSantis down in Florida replacing his Surgeon General with a guy who says that the coronavirus vaccines will kill you, and we should just have everybody in Florida expose themselves to the virus, and after tens of thousands of people die, the whole state will have herd immunity. And by the way, if we have any problems, we can treat them with hydroxychloroquine. Honest to God, that's the guy Ron DeSantis just put in charge as his state's Surgeon General. What does this have to do with the Trump devotee anti-maskers trying to run a Michigan County health director off the road twice at 70 miles an hour and kill him because he supports school kids wearing masks? Or somebody walking up to him and yelling, "Hey, mother effer, I hope somebody abuses your kids and forces you to watch." I mean, what does that kind of abuse have to do with just stealing elections? This isn't just about how to deal with a pandemic or Trump's failed coup. This is about the transformation of America from a land of civility and democracy into a neo-fascist state. Milton Mayer, you've heard me talk many times about Milton Mayer's book, They Thought They Were Free. He went to Germany right after World War II and hung out with a bunch of, quote, good Germans, people who kept their heads down, just continued to do their jobs all through the 30s and 40s. The book was called They Thought They Were Free, The Germans 1933 to 1945. And this one college professor said, you see, one doesn't see exactly how or where to move. Believe me, this is true. Each act, each occasion is worse than the last, but only a little worse. You wait for the next and the next. You wait for the one great shocking occasion, thinking that others, when such a shock comes, will join with you in resisting somehow. You don't want to act or even talk alone. You don't want to go out of your way to make trouble. Why not? Well, you're not in the habit of doing it. And it's not just fear of standing alone that restrains you. It's also genuine uncertainty. And that's what's happening here. He watches DeSantis takes actions that he knows are going to kill thousands of people in Florida, but he thinks it's going to get him into the White House in 2024. We watch as Texas outlaws abortions, again, to promote the political in defiance of the Supreme Court, or the previous Supreme Courts anyway, for the same political reasons for Greg Abbott to try and get into the White House, and maybe to keep Dan Patrick out of jail, the Attorney General. We watch as Georgia changes their voting laws so that Republican operatives can functionally take over the voting in largely black districts and maintain white rule. We watch as the Republicans have changed the laws to allow poll watchers, and they're openly recruiting militia groups to come into polling, white militia groups to come into polling places in black neighborhoods and intimidate people. We watch as they try to criminalize and psychologically destroy trans teens and youth across the country with their so-called bathroom bills. We watch as these Trump-supporting bullies hold armed intimidation rallies that echo the black shirts and the brown shirts of the 1920s. And one day too late, this German professor told Milton Mayer in 1949, your principles, if you were sensible of them, all rush in upon you. The burden of self-deception has grown too heavy. And some minor incident, in my case, it was my little boy, hardly more than a baby, saying, Jews, swine, it collapses all at once. And you see that everything has changed, and changed completely under your nose. The world you live in, your nation, your people, it's not the world you were in at all. The forms are all there, all untouched, all reassuring, the houses, the shops, the jobs, the meal times, the visits, the concerts, the cinema, the holidays. But the spirit, which you never noticed because you made the lifelong mistake of identifying it with the forms, is changed. And now you live in a world of hate and fear, and the people who hate and fear do not even know it themselves. When everyone is transformed, no one is transformed. Now you live in a system which rules without responsibility even to God. And here we are. Unless we hold them accountable for their damage to America and the Constitution, and we do so soon and in a way that both they and the world will take seriously and understand, this is going to continue and it's going to get worse. And if we fail, God help us. Seriously. The rant, by the way, is over at HartmannReport.com. We'll be back with more of the news of the day right after this. Stick around.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Coming up next, the health insurance business claims another victim, and blue states show how listening to science actually does work. And welcome back. And Bart in Benicia, California. Is that how you say it, Bart?
Yeah, it's Benicia.
Benicia.
It's the third state California capital, believe it or not. It's about 35 miles northeast of San Francisco.
Very cool. So what's up?
It's a cool. Well, I had a question. I love your show, by the way. Thanks for doing all your work. The question I have is about getting the message out to conservatives in different states. So there's a lot of echo chambers going on. And I'm not saying this is an echo chamber, but we do have a lot of people that have a lot of similar thoughts on this program and other progressive programs.
Oh, there's a certain echo chamber here. I try to break that up by inviting conservatives to call and debate me, but they tend not to do it.
Exactly. So I'm thinking, is there a way we can set up, for example, go to get radio stations in different southern states or the states that we need to get the message out? Can we put you on Fox News as a commercial, for example, where you have a 30-second to a minute spot where we can basically put out some kind of message Fox would allow, I guess. Anyway,
Fox has turned down a lot of those kind of political ads, so I doubt it. And B, I don't have the cash to buy ads on Fox News, and I don't know anybody who's enthusiastic about funding me. But I think your plan to get on radio stations is a good one. The FCC is allowing low-power FM stations. We've got one here in Portland. It hits most of the city.
Yep.
And those are starting to pop up around the country. You've got, in some cases, college stations that throw out a hell of a signal. Our station in Seattle, KBCS, is huge, and it's a college station. And they're carrying our nonprofit feed that you're listening to right now. Where we don't, during the commercial breaks, when our commercial stations are in break, I just keep on talking, or we do a book report.
Yeah.
So that's available, and that's all available through the Pacifica audio port. So any station, if you know a station in the South that might like to pick up this show or any other good progressive programming, I think our show is the only one, though, that really goes out of our way to make it available. We charge absolutely nothing. We pick up all the costs, and I even record fundraisers for our stations whenever they ask me to.
Wow. So in theory, if we go out and can find some of these low bandwidth or low power stations we can set up in different parts of the states, we might be able to do something similar to that, to what the colleges are doing.
We can help them.
I think,
we just need them to reach out to us. I don't have a sales team here.
Well, we have to get a team together that could put together some of these stations to do that or something like that. Yeah,
that'd be very cool.
Yeah. So that's my plan, is to help get the message out, because I think, like you mentioned in one of the programs, that there's a lot of time people driving around listening to radio.
There are
in certain rural areas.
And there's 1,500 right-wing stations, and there's about 300 Spanish-language right-wing stations in the United States, and that's basically the wall that is keeping Republicans in power in the United States. And Democrats still don't realize it. It just makes me crazy.
Definitely great. So let me know how we can put together. Is there a way to send something into your, be able to put together a group or figure out some way to do it? I'd be happy to step in and try to organize something if I can, or help out. I
think step one would be to hook up with somebody who has worked in that world. Who has been affiliated with a college station or whatever, public radio, whatever, and you come up with a list. I mean, I come up with a list of stations and then do a mass mailing to them. It would take some work, Bart, but if you're interested in doing it, or if you can pull together some people who are interested in doing it, drop me a note and let me know, okay?
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Tom.
Thanks a lot, Bart. Great talking with you. We'll be right back. Share the Thom Hartmann Program with your friends. We're available on SiriusXM, Free Speech TV, Pacifica, commercial stations nationwide, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, on the Thom Hartmann app, and you can even tell your smart speaker to listen to the Thom Hartmann Program. Just a reminder that my daily rants are published every day over at hartmanreport.com, and our podcast, our 1-hour podcast of the show, which is entirely free, is available through, iTunes and all the normal places where you find podcasts, cut down of our show. And that we post a weekly video over at thomhartmann.com. And the one this week is about seditious conspiracy, U.S. Code 2384. And the argument I'm making is that this law, which imposes 20 years in prison to, by force, prevent, hinder, or delay the execution of any law of the United States, end quote, is something that we should be seriously considering dusting off and applying to not just the people who showed up on January 6th, but the people who sent them there. Check it out, thomhartmann.com. And welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. A couple other quick stories here I wanted to share with you. The first one, Brittany Grow Lane gave birth to her daughter Alexandra a few days before Christmas. This was in 2018, 2.5 years ago. Baby had dark eyes, long legs, arrived 13 weeks early, weighed only 2 pounds, a preemie. And sadly, in the neonatal unit at Mount Sinai West, I believe this is in California, the baby got an infection and died. That's pretty, that's in and of itself, that's a disaster. The baby died at the age of 25 days. So that was back in 2018. A couple months ago, Ms. Lane, Gabby's mom, who, by the way, is now in the process of adopting a child, but it's kind of a side story, started receiving debt collection notices. These letters were sent by her health plan, Cigna, and said that she owed $257,000 in bills. Because in the middle of her pregnancy, she changed jobs and changed health insurance companies, but she was never without coverage. And so this is basically, a spitting war between two insurance companies and a hospital about who's responsible for these bills. And so they kind of all got together and said, well, let's just dump it on mom. Her husband, Clayton Lane, Alexander's father, he said, for them it's just business, but for us it means constantly going through the trauma of reliving our daughter's death as they're in the middle of this fight. And they finally got the state involved, and they got a bunch of high-profile people involved, and so now the New York Times actually got involved and called Cigna, and Cigna said, well, we regret the letters. We're reviewing it now. But this is in today's New York Times. The article notes, and this is, I think, the real big piece of the article that nobody's talking about, 18% of Americans right now, that's like 1 in 5 Americans, or maybe 1 in 6 at the most, Americans have outstanding bills from either a doctor, a hospital, or some other kind of health system provider. 18% of Americans have bills that they can't pay. 1 in 5 of us, roughly. What kind of screwed up system is that? As you know, I just wrote a book about this, and I'm going to continue ranting about this. We've got to do something. This is nuts. Meanwhile, California officially has the lowest coronavirus case rate. Now, the case rate is how many people per 100,000 citizens get infected with COVID. And that case rate in California is now the lowest in the nation. And California has a bunch of red counties, so they still have some really serious problems. This is our problem here in Oregon. Oregon overall is in bad shape. Portland, Multnomah County, which is where 1/3 of the or 1/5 of the population of the entire state lives, is doing just fine, thank you very much. We had 88 cases yesterday. But statewide, we've got a crisis going on. Plus, Idaho is dumping their patients into Oregon's hospitals. But anyhow, back to California. Their case rate as of Monday of this week was, and this is from the Los Angeles Times, by the way, a piece by Ron Gong Ling Il and Luke Money. California, as of Monday, 95.3 people. 95 people with COVID out of every 100,000. That's the case rate. 93. In Texas, it's 385 per 100,000. In Florida, it's 287 per 100,000. In Arizona, it's 250 per 100,000. Here in Oregon, again, because we've got all these red counties that are butting up against Idaho, we're at 234 per 100,000. Again, California's 95. And in Nevada, it's 202 per 100,000. Also in California, hospitalizations have dropped like a stone. That daily rate is around 6,000 across the state, and Los Angeles County is doing the very best. They only have 1,034 coronavirus patients in the hospital, 42% drop from the previous month. But the situation is grim in Red County, California. That would be Calaveras, Fresno, Kern, Kings, Madera, Mariposa, Merced, San Benedito, San Joaquin, Stanislaus, Tulare, and Tulum counties. I'm probably mispronouncing some of them. But less than 10% of their adult ICU beds have been available for the last 19 days in these red counties in California. In fact, some healthcare facilities in the California's red counties are still so overwhelmed with COVID patients, reading from the LA Times here, that some critically ill people are waiting days to be transferred into the ICU from the emergency rooms. 66% of Californians have received one dose of the COVID vaccine. 11 of the states, the blue states, the blue counties in California that voted for Joe Biden, they see over 70% of their residents have received a shot. But 14 other states, or other counties in California, 14 of the reddest counties in California are not even at 50%. And that's hurting California's numbers, even though California is the best in the country. That's hurting California's numbers and driving up their case rates, driving up their hospitalizations. So here we have basically a tale of two nations. We have red states versus blue states, where the red states have, COVID case rates in the 200 and 300 per 100,000, whereas, blue state California is 95 per 100,000. And then we've got red counties, like here in Oregon, where we've got huge case rates. Sorry, I don't have the numbers right off the, right at the tip of my fingers. I'm not sure they've even been published on a state-by-state, county-by-county basis, but we do get the county-by-county breakouts of infections every day in email. And I can tell you, little tiny counties, red counties, all, Donald Trump counties, little tiny counties with not a lot of people in them are showing more infections than great big Multnomah County, which is the entire city of Portland for all practical purposes, and some of its suburbs, with like, 1 million people. It's just crazy. It's this tale of two countries. And why is that? Because of right-wing propaganda, Donald Trump demagoguery, and vaccine lies being spread by right-wing hate radio, right-wing media on the internet, right-wing trolls across social media and Facebook, and Fox so-called news.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 202-808-9925.
Combine that with their authoritarianism, and we're going to get into the book burning in the next hour. And you've got a mess here that isn't happening in most other countries. Hey, it's another day in the Free Speech TV Fund Drive, another opportunity for you to participate, and boy, is this cool. Our frontline funders, Andrew in San Diego and Mike in San Francisco, have decided to pitch in and offer a $10,000 match, so your gift gets doubled, particularly if you give it by texting. They're really excited about this new text program where you can just, give to Free Speech TV on your phone by texting FSTV to 44321. Easy to remember, 44, like 44, but it's, 44321, right? As the numbers go down. And you will immediately get a text back with a link. You click on the link, and it'll pop up the browser in your smartphone or your tablet. And if you text out of your tablet, in fact, some folks can text out of their computer, in fact. And that will open the page where the Free Speech TV page that will show you how the fundraiser is going, how much they've raised altogether toward their goal, and you can just with a click, make your donation. And so, it's great. We've got a $10,000 match today. So your gift, your $1,000 becomes $2,000, your $10 becomes $20, your $100 becomes $200, and Free Speech TV offers all kinds of really kind of cool goodies to go along with that. With a $20 gift, there's the Free Speech TV sticker, either the sticker, the bumper sticker kind of sticker, or the clear kind of clingy, window sticker. With a $50 gift, there's the Free Speech TV tote bag available in 2 elegant models. With a $75 gift, you can get the Free Speech TV hat or the Free Speech TV official Thom Hartmann Program mug. Only available here and now. With a $100 gift, there's the notebook and pen, the Free Speech TV branded notebook and pen, or the Free Speech TV branded socks. Very elegant. With a $120 gift, this book, The Hidden History of American Healthcare, Why Sickness Bankrupts You and Makes Others Insanely Rich. This book, while it took me about a year to write this book, in many ways I've been writing this book for the 18 years I've been doing this program. Healthcare has been a recurrent issue in the rants that I do and the concerns that I have and the guests that I have. There's a chapter in here about Wendell, Wendell Potter, who's a regular program on this program, back in the day when the backstory of when he worked in the insurance industry and the horrors that he witnessed. There is a how-to and how to bring about single-payer health care, how to do Medicare. There's a Medicare for All. There's a chapter warning about Medicare Advantage if you want to tell your friends about that scam. That's a chapter in the book. There's lots of really solid information. This, I think, is probably one of the most comprehensive, easy to read. A lot of storytelling in the book. It's a short book. It's only, where'd my copy go? It's around here someplace. Anyway, it's only 140 pages, 150 pages at the most. It's something that you can read, in a day if you're a fast reader, and very accessible. So that's with a $120 gift, and you get an autographed copy, which makes it worth a little bit more if you're going to sell it on eBay. Or with a $120 gift, you can get the Free Speech TV T-shirt. With a $240 gift, hang out with me for an hour and a couple of other people. Typically, it's fewer than 10 or fewer than a dozen, and we get together on Zoom for an hour, and one of the folks from Free Speech TV will moderate it, and you can you can ask me anything, and it's not recorded, it's not broadcast. We can talk about anything you'd like to talk about. That's with a $240 gift. With a $360 gift, there's the Thom Hartmann University box, which is the Free Speech TV socks, the Free Speech TV bumper sticker, a copy of an autographed copy of my brand new book, The Hidden History of American Healthcare, the Thom Hartmann Program mug, or the Free Speech TV hat. And with a $1,000 gift, of course, get in line to come visit us here in Portland and visit our humble studio. And it really is. We're in an office building. It's a very, very simple configuration. It's kind of funky. There's piles of books all over the place. Of course, this is where I work, so there's piles of, it's just like my home. There's piles of books all over there, thousands of books. And, you can hang out on our couch and meet Sean and Nate and Joyce and have a good time. And I think that's going to come. I think probably, within 6 months or so, we're all going to be vaccinated and feel safe enough that we can do these kinds of things. But right now, it's just a matter of getting in line and getting ready. So those are the goodies, but the bottom line, $10,000 match today. Whatever you give will be doubled. You can also sign up when you call in to 877-378-8669 or go to freespeech.org or text 44321, text FSTV to 44321. If you do that during this program, these are the premiums that are available to you, and our show gets the brownie points for it and all that kind of stuff. But now is the time to do it because your gift will be doubled. It's a surprise doubling on Wednesday here, so let's kick it out of the park or knock it out of the park, eh? Hey, thanks so much for sharing our program and for reaching out to our stations and sponsors and letting them know that you're listening. It really means a lot to us. Over at the Thom Hartmann website, thomhartmann.com, we have, the full podcasts and there's just a lot of information, and our newsletter. And the newsletter's extraordinary. It's free. Sue puts it together every day with her stack, and it's just great content. Links to every single article that I talk about on the air, and things that are peripheral to them as well. It's really worth the effort. And then, of course, at HartmannReport.com, there is my daily rant, which is typically incorporated into the program, but it's a written version of it, and that's also something that there's no cost for that at all. So you can check that out as well. Also, we've got a new video up about the dueling memes. If at first you don't succeed, try again, or the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Schumer is going to try to do what Harry Reid did in 2013 by forcing votes. Will it work? We'll see. Check it out at thomhartmann.com. So, it's just red state, blue state. It's like, at what point do these red state Trump humpers look around and go, geez, people around me are getting sick and they're dying, and it's only 1 or 2% of them are dying, but 20, 30% of them who are getting sick are ending up like really deathly ill, or they're having long COVID and they're getting dementia, they're having strokes, they're losing their ability to walk. It's just terrible, terrible things are happening as a consequence of getting this disease. Maybe I should get vaccinated. Maybe I shouldn't vote for Republicans anymore. You think it's happening? It's amazing. Anyhow, picking up your phone calls, Jerry in San Francisco. Hey, Jerry, thanks for listening to the Thom Hartmann app. What's on your mind today?
Oh, my pleasure. Listen, I wanted to add on to your rant in the beginning of a couple of things. There's about 5 swing states, and if the Republicans get them, they don't need a big turnout in Florida or Texas or anything like that. They have it. And like you had on thomhartmann.com, 188,000 being dropped in Wisconsin. Right. I was reading a right-wing piece of junk, really, but they had a few interesting things in there. One is that the Supreme Court in April of 2021, I think, said that that they better not drop people off willy-nilly off the rolls. So a Republican representative named Janelle Brandtjen has said in the article that she was designated to be in charge of not dropping people from the rolls, but deactivating. But nobody knows what deactivating means. Now the numbers have gone from 188,000 to 205,000.
Whoa.
And yeah.
Deactivating probably means that those people will get a provisional ballot rather than no ballot at all. And provisional ballots typically are not counted. Or at least they're not counted in the first pass.
Yes, I think that's a very important detail.
Distinction, yeah.
Also, in Michigan, the Governor Whitmer told the Republican legislature that she is going to veto immediately the voter integrity bill that they're trying to pass in Michigan. So in the last 3 or 4 months, the Republican legislature has started a petition campaign, and it's a weird little law in Michigan where if you get 340,000 voters to sign it, you can then take it up, that petition up in the legislature and pass it, and it'll be a veto-proof law. So the provisions within this bill are to not only stop the Secretary of State from sending out absentee ballots, but forbids the Secretary of State from posting links on the website to get an absentee ballot mailed to you.
Jeez.
So there's other things. I don't want to take up your time with that. Thirdly, in Arizona, the people who I guess were counting the votes are part of that QAnon. I can't remember the name of it. Remember?
Yeah, the Cyber Ninjas?
Yeah, the Cyber Ninjas. Why can't I remember that? Anyway, people have been reporting in Maricopa County that people have been coming to their door and asking them if they really did vote for Joe Biden, or was it a mistake?
Yeah,
And
we
they
did.
have,
We
like,
did this
their
story
little-
a couple of weeks ago. That.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's been going on for a while. I don't know if they're still doing it, but that was national news maybe 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't. I was on a trip at that point. But okay, so you're on top of that one. So anyway, those are just some of the examples, like you were saying in the beginning, that these guys are working 24/7, looking for loopholes, looking for quirky provisions in the state, in the state constitution or whatever they can find.
Yeah.
And I really hope that we are going to be as diligent to try to stop these people.
Yeah, I hope so too. It's disheartening when you see Republicans like, Trent Lott in 2001, when the parliamentarians said, "Oh no, you can't put Bush's tax cuts the way that you want to do it into this reconciliation bill," and so he just fired Robert Dove, the parliamentarian, and replaced him with one who said, "Oh yeah, it's fine with me."
Yep.
But Chuck Schumer won't do that, right? I mean, it makes me bang my head against the wall. But
Yeah.
hope springs eternal. Jerry, thank you for the call, and thanks for adding to the the hot steaming pile we've got here. Tyrone in Harlem, New York. Hey, Tyrone, what's up?
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Tom. Yeah, it's definitely a serious issue, and
Yeah.
it seems to me Democratic Party don't want to take no for an answer. No, a lot of these Republicans are not going to work with you. No, they're not going to try to help you get health care, or even with this $3.5 trillion bill. I think they're waiting for them in the Senate to see if they can get 10 Republicans to go along with them. I'm like, when are we going to understand that we're dealing with the opposition? These people are opposed to anything that's going to make Biden look good and them look bad as the way they say it. And until we realize what we up against, or even accept it, I don't know if we have the guts to push back against them the way they push back against us.
Yeah.
Because they have there's no floor for these people. They don't care what they have to do to get what they want. And I'm waiting for one of them to come out and say, you know what, let's just block blacks from voting, period. They come push a bill up like that. And then what are we going to do? That's the question I have. What are we going to do if they come out with a bill saying, stop blacks from voting, stop Spanish people from voting? What are we going to do about that? Because
they're damn close to it down in Georgia right now, where they're firing the local, mostly black election workers and the people who run the elections in Fulton County in Atlanta, and replacing them with white Republican overseers, essentially.
I don't know what we're going to do, but we definitely have to recognize that we up against a force of people, a set of people in this country that's willing to do whatever they can or want to get what they want.
Yeah, we got a lot of work to do, Tyrone. We've got a big project ahead of us, and what's amazing, I was thinking when you were describing this, how back prior to the early 90s, when the Soviet Union fell, the way that Republicans used to justify their opposition to basically anything Democrats did, including stuff like Medicare, is they would say, "Oh, you're moving in the direction of the Soviet Union. It's communism, it's socialism." Or they would come right out and accuse Democrats of being in bed with the Russian communists, the Soviet communists. "Oh, you're doing the business of the Soviet Union. If you oppose the Vietnam War, you must," like that, right? And
I think they use our compassion against us.
Well, yeah, but since the Soviet Union fell, they still yell that we're socialists and things like that. But it's kind of falling on deaf ears. But I think the tables have turned, and Democrats would have every justification in saying to Republicans when they're promoting their don't get vaccinated stuff and things like that, "Oh, you're just doing Putin's work for him, or you're just doing Xi's work for him, or you're just helping countries that hate America, or the Saudis who don't like American democracy. You're just doing their work." But Democrats are just like they want to be just honest and careful and thoughtful and
Yes, they don't even say that our president said that the president of China have us covered.
Yeah.
When he says she got everything under control.
Yeah.
Everything is wonderful. This
I'm completely with you, Tyrone. It's the Democrats need to learn to take names and kick ass. Tyrone, thank you for the call. Andy in Depew, New York. Hey, Andy, what's up?
Hey, this is more like a public service announcement. It goes into voter suppression and whatnot, but it's about dark money. Sheldon Whitehouse, one of your callers a few days ago, he's got something called The Scheme. I'm up to part 7 right now. They're 15 to 25 minutes. It's like a mini course, and he's reading it into the record on the Senate floor. It is required viewing. It's really, really good. It
is breathtaking stuff. And by the way, in about a half hour, he's going to be on this program talking about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sheldon Whitehouse.
One final thing. I grew up in East Lansing while you were there.
Oh, how cool. Yeah, it's a great town.
Yeah, in the 70s they grew up. Yeah. All right.
It's a great town. Andy, thanks a lot for the call. It is 44, coming up on 45 minutes past the hour here on the Thom Hartmann Program. We'll be back with more of your calls right after this. And the actual plan to overthrow the United States on January 6th. Eventually, that's going to become, we're going to come up with a collectively accepted abbreviation, like 9/11. It'll be Jan 6 or January 6.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann. Visit ThomHartmann.com for audio and video archives.
Because it is, it's like the Alamo or Shiloh or whatever. It's one of those kind of pivot points in history, or nearly was. Michael in Seattle. Hey, Michael, what's on your mind today?
Greetings, Tom. It's always so good to know you're out there fighting.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say that I think it's becoming more and more evident that the folks who are not going to get vaccinated for whatever their reason are not going to be convinced to get vaccinated, and that the discussion should start to bend toward what do we do now? If we're not going to talk them into it, if logic or pain or suffering is not going to talk them into it, then the discussion needs to move to something else.
I think we already know the answer to the question, Michael, and let me give you a couple of examples. The answer to the question, by the way, is you say if you want to participate in civil society or if you want to keep your job, you have to be vaccinated. United Airlines mandated vaccines. And then, a whole bunch of their employees, like thousands of their employees, said, we have religious exemptions. And they had these little, religious exemption forms that this pastor is selling online. So the airline said, okay, that's cool. If you have a religious exemption, you are now permanently on unpaid leave. And all of a sudden, everybody got vaccinated. They asked the CEO the other day how many people are not vaccinated. He said it's in single digits, fewer than 10 people. You had 2 hospital groups in Maine who announced about 3 or 4 weeks ago that everybody has to be vaccinated by, I think it was last week. And they had demonstrations out in front, and their local version of the Proud Boys showed up, and a bunch of nurses were all furious. Now we discover that something like 11 out of 6,000 employees in this whole group, something like 11 people have resigned their jobs. Everybody else just said, okay, screw it, give me the vaccine. So I think that if it's just like our schools. You've got people who are like, oh, I don't want to vaccinate my kids, and I'm worried about this, that, or the other thing. The whole autism scare and all that stuff. But push comes to shove, they get their kids vaccinated so they can go to school. So I think it's just a matter of using the force of law, which is what Biden is doing, with the Commerce Clause, saying that employers of over 100 people have to be vaccinated, employees of companies with over 100 employees. I think the next step is to drop that to companies with over 50 employees. I mean, I think they just randomly pulled 100 out of the hat, and maybe
that's brilliant. Yes.
And just
that's brilliant.
I don't see any other way to do it, Michael. We're out of carrots. We tried lotteries.
I don't see any other way to do it.
Yeah, here in Oregon, we gave away a couple of full scholarships to our colleges. We gave away hundreds of thousands of dollars in prizes, and still you've got all these red counties where people are going, oh no, I watch Fox News. I know, I'm doing my own research, and they're dropping like flies. So I think you just need to say, if you want to work, if you want to get on a public bus, If you want, if you want to take an Uber, if you want to go to the supermarket, whatever, if you want to be a member of our society, of our civil society, you cannot be walking around spreading a deadly disease to the rest of us. Thank you very much.
Your mouth to God's ears, my friend.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael. I just don't see another way to make it happen. I think, Biden tried the carrots. He tried Mr. Nice Guy. He tried to convince people. We tried sharing the science with them. None of it worked. Michael, thank you for the call. None of it worked on the hardcore. And it didn't have that much impact on the people who were kind of in between. We just, we needed to do it. Denmark has now opened up. No more masks. No nothing. Right? They did away with their vaccine passport because everybody's vaccinated. And the country's back to normal. That could be us. Change starts with you. You can be calling your Democratic or Republican representatives to let them know what you think by calling 202-224-3121. It's the Capitol switchboard. It'll get you right through to them. So there are actually some substantial differences between the Taliban, the Afghanistan Taliban, the group that has, that Donald Trump signed his Secretary of State. Welcome back. John in Center Ossipee, New Hampshire. Hey, John, can you kill a nonprofit feed for me? Thank you. John in Center Ossipee, New Hampshire. Hey, John, what's on your mind today?
Yes, Tom. I was, just listening to some of your callers. There's one thing I don't truly understand is why haven't they initiated a special counsel to investigate the January 6th issues that happened? I understand that the Senate, the Congress has their own commission, but I mean, with the memo that just came forward, I just don't understand why they're not doing that.
You mean like a Ken Starr kind of person?
Yeah, exactly. Like an independent counsel that can look at this, not from Democrats, not from Republicans, somebody that's completely independent that can look at this whole thing and just...
That's a damn good question. I honestly don't know the answer, John. I know that law has gone through a bunch of iterations from, the Richard Nixon days to the Bill Clinton days. We went from special prosecutor to independent counsel, and they are different things, and they have different rules, and they were authorized under different kinds of legislation, and maybe they both expired. I don't know. I'm astonished that John Durham, this right-wing crank that Donald Trump put in charge of trying to harass anybody who wanted to investigate his ties to Russia, is still operating within the Justice Department.
Exactly, and that's the thing I don't understand. Yeah. What are the Democrats doing?
Yeah, it's a good question, John, and I don't have an answer for you. I'm sorry. Maybe if somebody does know more about that, they could call in. But this is, one of the, shall we say, one of the great enduring mysteries.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, exactly. John, I got to run, but thank you for the call. Morris in Long Beach. Hey, Morris, what's up?
I'm going to tell you what's up, Professor. If you got an R in front of your name come election time, ain't nobody voting for you. There ain't enough Trumpsters to keep the Republicans in office, and the voter suppression ain't enough.
At least in California.
Well, Professor, all over the country, because people are hurting, and they're starting to recognize that the Republican Party is a sadistic party. They're not a humane party.
Do you think that Georgia and Texas and Florida are going to flip blue in this 2022 election? I'm skeptical.
No, Professor, I think everybody's going to go blue. If you sit down and think a little bit about the Republican Party, you can't vote for those guys. MSNBC was straight up conservatives. Not anymore. They're not voting Republican. Okay, things have changed right now. And I want to give a shout-out to Laura Ingraham and Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity, because they're not increasing the Republican Party base. They're minimizing it. People are leaving the Republican Party, and they're coming over to the Democrats. Nobody's registered to be a Republican no more. So if you got an R in front of your name, I don't care if you're in Georgia, California. Ain't nobody voting for you. And there's not enough Trumpsters out there to keep them in power. That's
Morris, from your lips to God's ears, let us hope that you are absolutely right. And, we will find out in about, 13 months, 14 months, we will know more, and, November of next year. Morris, thank you for the call. It's always nice to hear from you. Mike in Rock Springs, Wyoming. Hey, Mike, what's up?
Good morning, Tom. It's a beautiful day here in southwest Wyoming. The wildfire smoke is finally blown out.
Oh, good. We had that last year terribly, and it's really rough on the lungs and the eyes.
Oh, that's been horrible.
Yeah.
So I am actually moving from Wyoming to Idaho Falls, Idaho.
Uh-huh.
So I'm going from an area of sub 40% vaccination rate to just over 40% vaccination rate.
Mm.
And I don't know if you saw where they're actually rationing health care in the Idaho hospitals.
They're not just rationing health care in Idaho. They're desperately sending their people to Oregon and Washington State. And Washington State is starting to say, no, sorry, we can't take them. We're still taking them, I believe, here in Oregon.
Well, you know, and I got fired from my job unexpectedly here, and I don't have health insurance at the moment. So my girlfriend and I are, half joking. We need to not be careful and not get hurt because we don't need to end up in the ER or any place like that.
Well, that's the big problem right now is that, if you do break a leg, you're going to have a hell of a problem. I mean, you may have to sit in the parking lot for a day or two until somebody dies and a bed opens up.
Well, thankfully, her employer will do, partner insurance after 6 months. They're real progressive in that area, which is real nice. But, finally people in Wyoming are starting to wake up. They had a story on the local news about parents are speaking up. They want masks in schools because right now there are none. They're getting some support from teachers. So
wow.
People, are probably going to wake up, and at least locally here, it seems like. But I can't get out of here fast enough, even just to get up to Idaho. It's when I moved here 5 years ago from Denver, Colorado, it was like traveling back in time to the 70s, smoking hotel rooms and all that craziness. It's unreal up here, Tom.
Yeah, I get it, Mike. Well, good luck on your move and stay safe.
Thanks, buddy. Take care.
Yeah, wish you the very best. Julia in Chicago. Hey, Julia, thanks for listening to WCPT. What's up?
Hey, Tom, thank you. Thanks for being there. I read an article from the New York Times by an international reporter named Max Fisher, dated July 25th of this year, and it's called Disinformation for Hire. A shadow industry is quietly booming.
Yes, we talked about that on that article on this program when it came out. Yep.
Yeah, and I just wanted to remind everybody how dark money, which I believe firmly in my heart is all a libertarian movement of multimillionaires and billionaires.
And a few oligarchs from foreign countries. Yeah, absolutely. And they're hiring professional trolls. And on Facebook and on Twitter and on TikTok and all across social media. Absolutely. Snapchat.
That's right. And they're targeting, we wonder how did young mothers, why would they be resistant to getting vaccinated? Well, guess what? They're targeting young mothers groups.
Right.
They're targeting yoga groups. And
I think they're trying to destroy America. I really do. And that's why I think that some of the people behind this are not Americans.
Democracy across the world.
Yes.
It's a worldwide thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was a pretty shocking article, Julia, when that came out. That was... just 2 months ago, I guess. Julia, thank you for the call. And thanks for listening to WCPT. We'll be back. Stick around.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann.
These companies support the Thom Hartmann Program. They are HelloFresh, the #1 meal kit delivery service. More information at HelloFresh.com, code TOM. CB Distillery for sleeping and pain relief. More info at cbdistillery.com, code TOM. Dinovite, only the best all-natural pet supplements. More info at dinovite.com. Annie's Kit Clubs, creativity delivered right to your door. More info at annieskitclubs.com/Tom. Wild Alaskan Company, delicious, sustainably sourced seafood delivered right to your door. More information at wildalaskancompany.com/Tom. And Mack Weldon, reinventing men's basics. More info at mackweldon.com/Tom.
Hey, it's another day in the Free Speech TV Fund Drive, another opportunity for you to participate, and boy, is this cool. Our frontline funders, Andrew in San Diego and Mike in San Francisco, have decided to pitch in and offer a $10,000 match. So your gift gets doubled, particularly if you give it by texting. They're really excited about this new text program where you can just, give to Free Speech TV on your phone by texting FSTV to 44321. Easy to remember, 44, like 44, but it's, 44321, right? As the numbers go down. And you will immediately get a text back with a link. You click on the link, and it'll pop up the browser in your smartphone or your tablet. And if you text out of your tablet, in fact, some folks can text out of their computer, in fact. And that will open the page where the Free Speech TV page that will show you how the fundraiser is going, how much they've raised altogether toward their goal, and you can just with a click, make your donation. And so, it's great. We've got a $10,000 match today. So your gift, your $1,000 becomes $2,000, your $10 becomes $20, your $100 becomes $200, and Free Speech TV offers all kinds of really kind of cool goodies to go along with that. With a $20 gift, there's the Free Speech TV sticker, either the sticker, the bumper sticker kind of sticker, or the clear kind of clingy, window sticker. With a $50 gift, there's the Free Speech TV tote bag available in 2 elegant models. With a $75 gift, you can get the Free Speech TV hat or the Free Speech TV official Thom Hartmann Program mug. Only available here and now. With a $100 gift, there's the notebook and pen, the Free Speech TV branded notebook and pen, or the Free Speech TV branded socks. Very elegant. With a $120 gift, this book, The Hidden History of American Healthcare. Why Sickness Bankrupts You and Makes Others Insanely Rich. This book, while it took me about a year to write this book, in many ways I've been writing this book for the 18 years I've been doing this program. Healthcare has been a recurrent issue in the rants that I do and the concerns that I have and the guests that I have. There's a chapter in here about Wendell, Wendell Potter, who's a regular program on this program, back in the day when the backstory of when he worked in the insurance industry and the horrors that he witnessed. There is a how-to and how to bring about single-payer health care, how to do Medicare. There's a Medicare for All. There's a chapter warning about Medicare Advantage if you want to tell your friends about that scam. That's a chapter in the book. There's lots of really solid information. This, I think, is probably one of the most comprehensive, easy to read. A lot of storytelling in the book. It's a short book. It's only, where'd my copy go? It's around here someplace. Anyway, it's only 140 pages, 150 pages at the most. It's something that you can read, in a day if you're a fast reader, and very accessible. So that's with a $120 gift, and you get an autographed copy, which makes it worth a little bit more if you're going to sell it on eBay. Or with a $120 gift, you can get the Free Speech TV T-shirt. With a $240 gift, hang out with me for an hour and a couple of other people. Typically, it's fewer than 10 or fewer than a dozen, and we get together on Zoom for an hour, and one of the folks from Free Speech TV will moderate it, and you can you can ask me anything, and it's not recorded, it's not broadcast. We can talk about anything you'd like to talk about. That's with a $240 gift. With a $360 gift, there's the Thom Hartmann University box, which is the Free Speech TV socks, the Free Speech TV bumper sticker, a copy of an autographed copy of my brand new book, The Hidden History of American Healthcare, the Thom Hartmann Program mug, or the Free Speech TV hat. And with a $1,000 gift, of course, get in line to come visit us here in Portland and visit our humble studio. And it really is. We're in an office building. It's a very, very simple configuration. It's kind of funky. There's piles of books all over the place. Of course, this is where I work, so there's it's just like my home. There's piles of books all over there. There are thousands of books. And, you can hang out on our couch and meet Sean and Nate and Joyce and have a good time. And I think that's going to come. I think probably, within 6 months or so, we're all going to be vaccinated and feel safe enough that we can do these kinds of things. But right now, it's just a matter of getting in line and getting ready. So those are the goodies, but the bottom line, $10,000 match today. Whatever you give will be doubled. You can also sign up when you call in to 877-378-8669 or go to freespeech.org or text 44321, text FSTV to 44321. If you do that during this program, these are the premiums that are available to you, and our show gets the brownie points for it and all that kind of stuff. But now is the time to do it because your gift will be doubled. It's a surprise doubling on Wednesday here, so let's make it. Let's kick it out of the park or knock it out of the park, eh?
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Welcome back to the second hour of our program. So, John Eastman, this is how close we came. The Eastman memo. Those of you who are regular viewers of this program or listeners of this program, know that, or may probably remember that back well over a year ago. In fact, I think it was almost 2 years ago. I did a deep dive into the Hayes-Tilden election of 1876. When Rutherford B. Hayes went up against Sam Tilden. Hayes was the Republican, Tilden was the Democrat. Tilden actually won more votes, popular votes, and Tilden actually won more electoral college votes, so he should have become president. But the problem was that there were 4 states, 3 southern states, Louisiana and 2 others. I forget which ones they were. I believe it was Louisiana, Georgia, and Alabama, but I could be wrong. But anyhow, 3 southern states and Oregon. And that these 4 states submitted 2 sets of electoral votes. There was the official set that the people who controlled the state submitted and said this is the actual result of the election. And then there was also another, quote, official set, although it didn't come through the state, it came through the state legislatures from the opposition, shall we say, in those state legislatures, who were saying, in the southern states, they were saying, we're still occupied by the Northern Army from the War of Northern Aggression, and therefore we're submitting 2 slates of electors. And in Oregon, we were occupied by the Ku Klux Klan at the time. And so they submitted their own slate separate from the one that the states submitted. So the bottom line was that the election got thrown to the House of Representatives under the 12th Amendment. And in the House of Representatives came up, they put together a committee to decide what to do, and what they decided to do ultimately was stab African Americans in the back and make the guy who lost both the electoral vote and the popular vote, Hayes, make him president. And in exchange for that, they would end Reconstruction. That was the deal. The election of 1876, it was also the death of Reconstruction. And I did a deep dive into that. I had not known that much about it, but I read some just extraordinary histories of that. And I wrote a long piece for that probably one of these days I should repost over at Hartmann Report. I'm pretty sure that there's a transcript of it over at thomhartmann.com. And it got published on Salon and Raw Story and Alternate and whatnot about how the Republicans might be thinking about doing the exact same thing, trying to throw the election to the House of Representatives. And nobody took me seriously. I mean, I had Democratic politicians on this show. I had Tom Perez on this show. And I laid it out for him, and I said, ran the DNC, and I said, what do you think? What are you going to do about it? And he said, I don't, yeah, we're looking into it. Like, kind of brush me off, right? Well, now comes out this memo, this John Eastman memo that was in the White House that was given to Mike Pence. It says, number 1, VP Pence should begin to open the count and ballots, starting with Alabama. When he gets to Arizona, he announces that he has multiple slates of electors, and so he's going to defer a decision. At the end, he announces that because of the ongoing disputes in 7 states, He is going to throw this to the House of Representatives. In the House of Representatives, the vote shall be taken by the states. There are 26 states that are Republican-controlled in the House, compared to 24 that are democratically controlled. And he said to block the Senate from doing anything about it, Ted Cruz or Rand Paul should demand normal rules of order, in other words, the filibuster, and poof, Donald Trump gets to be president. I have been saying for more than 2 years that this is the strategy that the Republicans were planning on using for 2024, and now we have the proof. We actually have the memo from within the White House that this Republican lawyer, John Eastman, came up with. And Mike Pence wanted to do it. He called Dan Quayle and, there's got to be a way I can do this. And Dan Quayle was like, no, don't even think about it. Sheldon Whitehouse is up next, hopefully. We'll see.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
It's 10 minutes past the hour. We'll be right back. Stick around. And welcome back. Jesse in Lafayette, Indiana. Hey, Jesse, thanks for watching us on YouTube. What's on your mind today?
Hey, you heard that Illinois is announcing media literacy for 2022 in their K-12 classes?
No, I didn't know that, like Finland does.
Yeah, you had said about a European country a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Well, they've announced that, and that's pretty cool. But I really hope that the actual things that they teach goes into ways that the right takes over kids online, because it's in really vague ways sometimes, even through hand gestures and stuff. That guy Brenton Tarrant that killed all those Muslims in Christchurch, he didn't want to talk in court. He opted to not talk in court, but he did use the OK hand symbol, which has been now taken over as a white power symbol.
Right.
And Trump himself, when he said, stand back and stand by, he used that symbol too.
Right. Trump started using that right after he became president. He started using it like a tick. And you go back and you look at videos of Trump on TV, from a decade ago, and he never used that hand signal. But all through his presidency, he was constantly throwing the white power signal out there. As was the woman who was sitting behind Brett Kavanaugh throughout his hearings.
Yeah, the alt-right online, the way that they indoctrinate kids is really vague. They'll use things like that, like the hand symbol, so that when people confront them about it, then they'll just be like, "What? That just means okay, right?" Right. Because the media doesn't catch up quick enough.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Jesse, thank you. Thanks for sharing that with us. Patrick in East Lansing, you know about special counsel laws?
Yes, I do. My professor drafted it at Georgetown Law School, Sam Dash. He was the Watergate prosecutor, and Sam Ervin recommended it, and it got bipartisan, almost unanimous support when it passed in 1978. And because of that, we did not have to go back to the Watergate era, which we're now in. For 21 years, we've been back in the Watergate era because this law expired in 1999. In the Watergate era, the president could commit crimes, and the attorney general could fire the person investigating them, and that's exactly what happened to Archibald Cox, who I took con law with. And he was fired because the president's lawyer, the attorney general, who should define his mission as the public trust and stopping crimes by the president's men, defined his job instead as protecting Richard Nixon. Now,
and that was John Mitchell back then.
He went to prison. Detroit guy went to prison. So Janet Reno, testifying to renew the law, said there's an inherent conflict of interest. We need these special counsels. So the law was renewed in 79, 81, 83, 84. It was renewed in 94. But Janet Reno is the only attorney general to support the law, and she said if you don't have a law like this, you have a conflict of interest, and crimes will be committed and go unprosecuted by the president. You'll have an uncontrolled executive. And that's exactly what we've had since 1999. Before 99, we had 12 independent counsels. And what did they find? The first one went after Ed Meese for crimes.
Right. So this is no longer the law, Patrick. Is that the bottom line?
No longer the law, and the special counsels have less power now than they did under the Watergate era.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for that history and law lesson. I truly appreciate it. Clearly, we have some work to do. We'll be back coming up on 15 minutes past the hour. Stick around. Missed my opening rant today? It's usually published over at HartmannReport.com, where you can read it and share it with your friends for free. Check it out, HartmannReport.com. You know, the media is pushing this crazy narrative that with regard to masks and vaccines and COVID and all this kind of stuff, that America is divided. Like, you know, half of us want masks and half of us don't, or half of us want vaccines. It's just not true. 75% of Americans have received at least one dose of vaccine. 70% of Americans think that we should have mask mandates in all of our schools. Only 17%, this is from the latest Pew studies, polling, only 17% of Americans are opposed to mask mandates in schools. And what we have is this tiny fringe that is being cranked. Now we're learning from China as well as from Russia and perhaps other countries, plus the people in, a relatively small number of people, Trump followers, who think that tearing the country apart is a good thing and somehow it'll hurt Joe Biden and hurt the Democrats in the next election. It's crazy. I got a whole video rant about this over at ThomHartmann.com that you can check out. And welcome back to our program. Thom Hartmann here with you. On the line with us is the guy that I thought should be our Attorney General, and he's doing an amazing course, basically, an American government course and history course that you can find over on YouTube. He's been doing it, as reading it into the record in the U.S. Senate. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, a Democrat from Rhode Island. Sen Whitehouse is his Twitter handle, and the website, of course, whitehouse.senate.gov. Senator Whitehouse, welcome back to the program. It's been quite a while. You did a deep dive in one of your scheme exposés of Brett Kavanaugh, and I think that now that we are, there have been some conversations about revisiting the things that happened during the Trump administration, particularly like FBI investigations. Bring us up to speed on what the story is with Supreme Court Justice Kavanaugh right now.
So things looked pretty hinky when the FBI investigation was taking place into the allegations made by Dr. Christine Blasey Ford. And in the midst of that stampede, a number of us asked a bunch of questions about what the FBI investigation had actually amounted to. And then we went through a very frustrating period during the Trump administration when we couldn't get a single answer out of Chris Wray and the FBI and the Department of Justice. And at the same time, we were watching the FBI and Chris Wray and the Department of Justice feed information through a fast lane to our Republican colleagues to investigate Crossfire Hurricane, the Trump-Russia investigation. So clearly they were capable of getting us the information if they'd wanted to, and they were being very selective. So when President Biden got elected and Attorney General Garland came in, we put renewed pressure on for answers. And this time we didn't get blown off, but we got what I would call a smidgen of an answer, which did one important thing. It confirmed that the tip line that they had set up when their effort to fend off any and all information about Brett Kavanaugh was not going to be sustainable. They had to let some information in. So they let it in through a tip line. And what they've admitted is that they did not follow FBI tip line procedures. In fact, they took all the information that came through the tip line and ran it over to Don McGahn at the White House counsel's office, where, of course, it did not get investigation. And, that was the end of that. It was basically a tip dump, not a tip line. And so now we need to press further to figure out, what they did do and what they didn't do. Their other argument, if you don't mind me going on for 1 second longer, is
Please
that
feel free.
They were actually following FBI procedures when they did all this stuff. And what they meant by that was that when the FBI is doing a background investigation, it's the political tool of the White House and does what the White House tells it, and that's what they mean by the way of procedure. So what they're saying is that we were following the procedure of not following our procedure. Right. But if you dig behind that, the FBI is a very procedure-run institution, and I am confident that they have procedures for how you run background investigations, because they do this all the time. So we want to dig through those procedures, because there's every reason to believe that they didn't follow those procedures either. I think this was the first time in the history of FBI background investigations where the White House took operational control over an FBI background investigation and created a fake one to give the appearance of an investigation without actually doing real investigating.
Right, which raises a whole bunch of questions, and I don't know if in the roughly 7 minutes we've got left before we hit a hard break we can get to them all. But number one, why is Chris Wray still running the FBI if this is the story? Number two, will there be a thorough investigation of Mr. Kavanaugh? Number three, could that lead to a possible impeachment of him from the Supreme Court? As a starting point, let's just begin with those.
Number one, because I don't appoint the FBI director.
Right.
Number two, I think that the focus of the investigation in the first instance need to be on the mischief that the FBI got up to, and the direction that they got from the White House about this, and how unusual and perhaps even unique this was in the annals of the FBI. And once we've gotten a really good, clear understanding of how and why the FBI took a dive the way it did, then we can make, further decisions. But that's the touch point that comes up next, is to understand what the FBI did and why they did it and how they violated their own procedures.
Do you know yet, does Congress yet know, I mean, you're part of the committee that has oversight for this, who paid off the several $100,000s of debt that Brett Kavanaugh had when he was nominated for the Supreme Court that some suggest was gambling debt? He said it had to do with sports tickets, I guess. Does anybody know where this money came from?
Nope, we still do not know that. Part of the signaling out of this whole episode of the power of the dark money forces that were pushing Kavanaugh so hard onto the court is that basic questions like where did that debt go didn't get properly or clearly answered, and the Republicans controlling the Judiciary Committee were happy with delayed and half-baked and incomplete answers that leave this a question to this moment that we have to talk about still now.
Which raises the question, what was so important about Brett Kavanaugh? And, why would they fight so hard for him when they had Robert Bork, back during the Reagan era, when it became obvious that he was going to be problematic? They just dropped him and replaced him with, I think, Scalia. I mean, I may be wrong, but they replaced him with another right-wing justice. I mean, it's not like there's a shortage of them.
Yeah, but Kavanaugh had a unique angle on all of this. He had run judicial nominations in the Bush White House. He knew Leonard Leo, who's the sort of central spider in the web.
The head of the Federalist Society.
Organizations. He was, I think, the vice president of the Federalist Society, but he was the head of the court capture operation that was housed within the Federalist Society, and he had always been the link for the big right-wing donors who sought control over the judicial process. So when Trump said the Federalist Society is where I'm going to go to get my judges, he was the man at the turnstile who controlled who got to be a judge. And Kavanaugh knew him, and he also knew what the big donors wanted because he'd played in that space. So he'd spent his time on the D.C. circuit auditioning on all the key issues that the big donors would be excited by. And then, of course, he'd done, I think, 27 different Federalist Society visits as he auditioned through that organization. You might be interested to know, he wasn't even on the original Federalist Society list of judges.
Right.
He auditioned himself entirely around that list and to the top of the pile. So the donor group that is behind this court capture operation was particularly infatuated with Brett Kavanaugh.
That's fascinating. And there were some indications that when he was working in the Bush White House that he was involved with the torture memos and stuff like that. Did we ever learn that if that was or was not the case?
What we got out of his White House days was mostly huge stacks of paper that were blank and that were stamped constitutional privilege on them.
Is there such a thing?
They didn't even have. Well, that's it. They didn't even have the gall to say executive privilege because they knew it had neither met the legal nor process requirements for an executive privilege assertion. So they just stamped blank pages constitutional privilege, sent them in by the ream, and knew perfectly well that the Republicans on the Senate Judiciary Committee were going to turn a blind eye to all of that and let it stand.
Right. So back to a question I think I asked earlier that, is this going to be? I realize you're trying to get answers from the FBI, but a formal investigation that may lead to even an impeachment investigation. Do you consider that a possibility, or is that something that it's just way too premature to even discuss?
Too premature to even discuss. And when you consider what the Republicans were willing to swallow in impeachments of Trump, and when you consider that the funding group behind the Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Barrett appointments is basically the funding group behind the Republican Party, the idea that you'll get Republicans to vote to impeach Brett Kavanaugh under essentially any circumstance, I think, is zero.
Yeah. So we have just about 20 seconds left. How powerful is the Federalist Society?
It's a mix. There's a part of it that's a student group. There's a part of it that's a think tank. But this operation that turnstiled 3 judges onto the United States Supreme Court and stopped a 4th, stopped Merrick Garland, has changed the trajectory of the country for those dark money donors who have hid behind the Judicial Crisis Network and the Federalist Society Anonymous.
And we still don't know who they are.
Still don't know who they are or what business they had before the court.
Senator Sheldon, Whitehouse of Rhode Island, you are doing God's work, sir. Thank you so much for dropping by today, and keep it up,
Thanks,
please.
Tom. A pleasure.
Yeah, good talking with you.
Good talking with you.
Thank you. We will be back with more of the news of the day and your calls right after this. Stick around. It's 27 minutes past the hour here on the Thom Hartmann Program, the place where we ask, is Walmart really a person? And we dare to say no.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 202-808-9925.
Well, it looks like Brett Kavanaugh probably won't get impeached, but hey, let's find out what's actually going on here, huh? Hey, it's another day in the Free Speech TV Fund Drive, another opportunity for you to participate, and boy, is this cool. Our frontline funders, Andrew in San Diego and Mike in San Francisco, have decided to pitch in and offer a $10,000 match. So your gift gets doubled, particularly if you give it by texting. They're really excited about this new text program where you can just, give to Free Speech TV on your phone by texting FSTV to 44321. Easy to remember, 44, like 44, but it's, 44321, right? As the numbers go down. And you will immediately get a text back with a link. You click on the link, and it'll pop up the browser in your smartphone or your tablet. And if you text out of your tablet, in fact, some folks can text out of their computer, in fact. And that will open the page where the Free Speech TV page that will show you how the fundraiser is going, how much they've raised altogether toward their goal, and you can just with a click, make your donation. And so, it's great. We've got a $10,000 match today. So your gift, your $1,000 becomes $2,000, your $10 becomes $20, your $100 becomes $200. And Free Speech TV offers all kinds of really kind of cool goodies to go along with that. With a $20 gift, there's the Free Speech TV sticker, either the sticker, the bumper sticker kind of sticker, or the clear kind of clingy, window sticker. With the $50 gift, there's the Free Speech TV tote bag available in 2 elegant models. With a $75 gift, you can get the Free Speech TV hat or the Free Speech TV official Thom Hartmann Program mug. Only available here and now. With the $100 gift, there's the notebook and pen, the Free Speech TV branded notebook and pen, or the Free Speech TV branded socks. Very elegant. With the $120 gift, this book, The Hidden History of American Healthcare, Why Sickness Bankrupts You and Makes Others Insanely Rich. This book, while it took me about a year to write this book, in many ways I've been writing this book for the 18 years I've been doing this program. Healthcare has been a recurrent issue in the rants that I do and the concerns that I have and the guests that I have. There's a chapter in here about Wendell, Wendell Potter, who's a regular program on this program, back in the day when the backstory of when he worked in the insurance industry and the horrors that he witnessed. There is a how-to and how to bring about single-payer health care, how to do Medicare. There's a Medicare for All. There's a chapter warning about Medicare Advantage if you want to tell your friends about that scam. That's a chapter in the book. There's lots of really solid information. This, I think, is probably one of the most comprehensive, easy to read. A lot of storytelling in the book. It's a short book. It's only, where'd my copy go? It's around here someplace. Anyway, it's only 140 pages, 150 pages at the most. It's something that you can read in a day if you're a fast reader. And very accessible. So that's with a $120 gift, and you get an autographed copy, which makes it worth a little bit more if you're going to sell it on eBay. Or with a $120 gift, you can get the Free Speech TV T-shirt. With a $240 gift, hang out with me for an hour and a couple of other people. Typically, it's fewer than 10 or fewer than a dozen, and we get together on Zoom for an hour, and one of the folks from Free Speech TV will moderate it, and you can you can ask me anything, and it's not recorded, it's not broadcast. We can talk about anything you'd like to talk about. That's with a $240 gift. With a $360 gift, there's the Thom Hartmann University box, which is the Free Speech TV socks, the Free Speech TV bumper sticker, a copy of an autographed copy of my brand new book, The Hidden History of American Healthcare, the Thom Hartmann Program mug, or the Free Speech TV hat. And with a $1,000 gift, of course, get in line to come visit us here in Portland and visit our humble studio. And it really is. We're in an office building. It's a very, very simple configuration. It's kind of funky. There's piles of books all over the place. Of course, this is where I work, so there's it's just like my home. There's piles of books all over there. There's thousands of books. And, you can hang out on our couch and, meet Sean and Nate and Joyce and have a good time. And I think that's going to come. I think probably, within 6 months or so, we're all going to be vaccinated and feel safe enough that we can do these kinds of things. But right now, it's just a matter of getting in line and getting ready. So those are the goodies, but the bottom line, $10,000 match today. Whatever you give will be doubled. You can also sign up when you call in to 877-378-8669 or go to freespeech.org or text 44321, text FSTV to 44321. If you do that during this program, these are the premiums that are available to you, and our show gets the brownie points for it and all that kind of stuff. But now is the time to do it because your gift will be doubled. It's a surprise doubling on Wednesday here, so let's kick it out of the park or knock it out of the park, eh? Our 1 hour free podcast recaps our show, and it's available wherever fine podcasts are found. And we have the full 3 hour podcast available over at thomhartmann.com if you want to really support our program. So we have a new video up over at thomhartmann.com, and it's about 18 U.S. Code 2384, which is a law that was published back in put on the books on June 25th, 1948. It was updated in 1956, and it's very, very straightforward. It says, if two or more persons in any state or territory or in any place subject to the jurisdiction of the United States conspire to overthrow, put down, or destroy by force the government of the United States, or to levy war against them, or to oppose by force the authority thereof, or by force to prevent, hinder, or delay the execution of any law of the United States, or by force to seize, take, or possess any property of the United States, they shall be fined under this title or imprisoned for not more than 20 years or both. Tell me that doesn't perfectly describe what happened on January 6th. Seditious conspiracy. The video's at thomhartmann.com. Check it out. Wanted to share with you, this is pretty amazing, and then I'll pick up your phone calls here at 202-808-9925. In central York, not York, England, York, Pennsylvania. Let me give you the backstory. This is from the Will Bunch newsletter today. I subscribe to it, Inquirer.com. Will Bunch is telling the story of what happened, but the backstory is that a bunch of these right-wingers got all hysterical. They've been watching Fox News, Fox so-called news, and they got so hysterical about critical race theory and our white children are going to be humiliated in school and be permanently scarred for the rest of their lives thinking that they are racists or something. That they passed a school board law or regulation or whatever it is, you know, in the schools here in Central York, banning books, including books like a biography of Rosa Parks, a book about Martin Luther King. I mean, honestly. So here's what happened. This is and also the autobiography of Malala Yousafzai. You know, Malala, the young woman in I believe from Pakistan, maybe Bangladesh. I'm pretty sure it was Pakistan who got what, acid thrown in her face or shot in the face, something like some you know, disfiguring attack on her. Her autobiography was banned by these right-wingers who didn't want the schools talking about the racial history of the United States. And this is a county that Donald Trump won by 62%, York County, and the Central York School District. And one parent, in fact, Matt Want, told a recent school board meeting, quote, "I don't want my daughter growing up feeling guilty because she's white." So in response to this, five students staged a daily protest in the school. And as the school year progressed, it went from 5 to 10 to 30 to 50 to 100 to 150 to 200. And pretty soon, they gave a name to their group. The Panther is the school mascot. And so they called themselves the Panther Anti-Racist Union. And they started protesting every day at the school. And then their parents started protesting, showing up at school board meetings. One of the libraries in town took all the books that had been banned and made them available to students, including, and in fact, one student, this is from Patricia Jackson, a language arts teacher at Central York, told Will Bunch, quote, "One student pointed to a poster of Maya Angelou in the classroom wall and said, 'Miss Jackson, are you allowed to have that? Aren't you afraid you'll get in trouble or lose your job?' Because it was a poster of a black woman." This is how far it got. Well, the school board met this week and unanimously said, enough. They restored, and this was after 200 parents and students had rallied at the school board or outside their meeting in favor of books. It's 2021. We're having to have demonstrations in favor of books to beat back the bullies who had previously prevailed at banning books. It's mind-boggling. It's just mind-boggling. Anyhow, let's pick up your phone calls here. Mark in San Clemente, California. Hey, Mark, what's on your mind today?
Hey, how you doing, Tom? I really appreciate the spot you just had on with Senator Sheldon, Whitehouse. I listened to all of his YouTube lectures about the scheme to pack the courts, and it needs to be out there in that form because most people have never heard about it.
Yeah.
I'm 66 years old. I was a teacher in high schools. I've been around the education system all my life, and I never heard about it.
Yeah.
And it goes back to the Nixon era, which we all were there. I mean, Nixon lived in San Clemente. I was driving a water truck in the summer by his house.
Oh, that's right. You're from San Clemente. Yeah.
Yeah, there was protesters on one side of the street saying, take him down, convict him. The other people were, for him. And I drove right through the thing, and they all had signs and all that. But it's never been revealed to the public, and I think that's the good part of it. And I've watched your lectures on your book and your series of books, which nobody has the time or the wherewithal to go down and read them. But to see it and listen to you, and you lay it out, and Sheldon laid it out to where we can understand it, and that's going to be the change. I think there's really a change coming amongst the regular people of this country.
Yeah.
Because you got to get the information out somehow, and you guys are doing it.
Yeah.
Well,
thank you.
It.
Thank you very much, Mark. And God bless Sheldon Whitehouse. As I said, I think he should have been our Attorney General. He is.
Thank you for that.
That's one smart cookie. Yeah.
He is. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Lewis in New York City. Hey, Lewis, what's on your mind today? Lewis? No Lewis. Okay, let's try Frank in Miami, Florida. Hey, Frank, what's on your mind today?
Hey, pretty good, Tom. Thank you. Listen, I'm calling because of the debt ceiling.
Yeah.
I don't know if people know this or not, but if the debt ceiling is not raised, then those of us that receive Social Security are not going to get their Social Security. The debt ceiling has to be raised in order for us to continue to get Social Security benefits.
That's correct. And by the way, this started in July. Janet Yellen, our Treasury Secretary, has been moving money around since July to be able to pay the essential bills. And a lot of stuff is being left behind or put on pause. And this is, that's not good, but it's going to reach a critical or a crisis in the next few weeks. And when it does, I mean, when they did this to Obama in 2011, this is the whole two Santa Clauses thing that I was ranting about on Monday. When they did this to Obama in 2011, it led to our credit rating as a nation being downgraded, which increased the cost of borrowing, which increased our monthly expenses, our interest payments on the national debt, and that increased everybody's expenses for everything. It produced inflation. It made it harder to borrow money. It softened the housing market, which is why the Republicans are doing this, because there's a Democrat in the White House, and they know that if they can pull this stunt off, it will damage our economy. And people not knowing that, hey, the Republicans did it through the back door indirectly, they're going to blame Biden for it.
Exactly. And Leader Schumer and Speaker Pelosi have been doing their level best to try and get this done. And that's exactly right. They basically want the Democrats to fail, and people see that nothing's getting done. Who's in charge? The Democrats. And they make it very simple. So vote us in, that is the Republicans, and then we know what's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen.
Right.
And we're going to be worse off.
Oh, they raised the debt ceiling the first 3 years of the Trump presidency. Every single year, without a peep, they raised the debt ceiling. And on the fourth year, they just canceled it. They just suspended it, which means that Biden now has to raise the debt ceiling not just on the money that was spent prior to now in the Biden administration, but also in the last year of the Trump administration. So it's going to look even worse.
Right, exactly. And frankly, I thought that they were going to try and extend it a little further out to include at least hopefully what will be two Biden administrations.
Yeah, they're just trying to take it to December, to the end of the year, which is crazy. Yeah. I mean, it's like they should just end it, right? I mean, they should just outlaw it, pass a law and end the debt ceiling. And
most countries don't have a debt ceiling, but we're one of the few that do.
Yeah, it goes back to World War I, and it was just to appease the people who didn't want to get into World War I. It was to say, we're going to spend our money responsibly. Don't worry. It was crazy.
Right.
Frank, I got to run, but thank you for the call. Ann in Montclair, New Jersey. Hey, Ann, what's on your mind today?
Hi, Tom. Thank you for taking my call. I just wanted to share with you that I have a niece who was due to be induced yesterday. She lives in Arizona, and the hospital called her yesterday and told her not to come in. They cannot accommodate her because they are so overwhelmed with patients, and so she is sitting home by the phone in frequent contact with the hospital, waiting to come in to have the baby that should have been born yesterday.
Oh, wow. So what are they going to do? Just wait for the beginning of a normal vaginal birth, or is there a medical issue? Oh, she just hung up. I don't know the answer to that question, therefore. So we'll find out. But once again, you've got somebody who, can't get into the hospital because it's full of COVIDiots. Is that a thing, COVIDiots? Yeah, I've seen that word around, I think. Anyway, it's 45 minutes past the hour here on the Thom Hartmann Program, helping you win the water cooler wars if you're back to the water cooler. We are here. We have our it's not cool, but, it's just a porcelain pot, but we've got one.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann. Visit ThomHartmann.com for audio and video archives.
Giant 5-gallon water bottles. Anyhow, I'll pick up your phone calls after this break. And welcome back. Corky in Rochester, New York. Hey, Corky, what's on your mind today?
Oh, Tom, I just don't like the way they treat Biden. I mean, a guy comes up with some good ideas, or at least something gets the country moving, and Republicans back out. They checked out for lunch. Right. They ain't coming back.
Right.
If those people in those districts vote those people back in, they ought to take a break. Really.
Yeah.
Politics, and just leave it alone.
Well, earlier, who was the caller from Harlem? I'm blanking on his name. He's a regular caller. My apologies, but he was saying, you're not even going to have, red states are going to flip blue in the next election because the Republicans don't have anything to offer. I think the Republicans still do have something to offer. They have white supremacy to offer to the roughly 70% of American voters who are white, and probably half of them who consider themselves white supremacists. And they have misogyny. We're going to control women. We're going to put them back in their place. They've got that to offer to people of all races, men of all races, who think that women should be their very own little play toys or whatever. Their vassals, and not to mention their vessels if we're talking about pregnancy. And I wouldn't underestimate the power of those two things, Corky.
I don't know. I have a hard time with that, but we'll see.
Yeah, we definitely will. Thanks.
I'll call you a day after the midterms.
Yeah, thank you, Corky. Amen. Marilyn in Madison, Wisconsin. Hey, Marilyn, what's on your mind today?
I'm just calling to give a shout out to the librarians. They stand in the line between propaganda and the death of knowledge and a vibrant society. I don't think enough can be said about their bravery in the face of people who are trying to ban knowledge, ban books.
Remember when they stood up to to Homeland Security during the Bush administration when he was trying to get libraries to report people who were checking out books about Islam?
Did indeed. I do remember. And I lived in a little town in Iowa then. And shortly thereafter, the librarian was incensed. Her name was Mary, God bless her, goddesses bless her. She also was up against both the Catholic faction and the Lutheran faction in that little town, who were pressuring her, demanding that she remove all Harry Potter books from the library.
Oh, geez.
And my son's 30 now. As you might know, he's in the military. And my granddaughters are now reading the Harry Potter books. But I said, what did you do, Mary? I mean, how did you react to that? And she said, I bought more Harry Potter books. God bless them. Every last one of them.
Yeah. When your society's librarians are the last wall of resistance, or one of the first walls of resistance against neo-fascism, then you know that you've got a society that's in real crisis, and that's where we're at. Marilyn, thank you. Thanks for the call. Amen. I'm totally with you. And thanks for watching us on Free Speech TV. It's 49 minutes past the hour. We'll be right back with more of your calls in just 1 minute. Give me just 1 minute to pay some bills, read a spot over on the commercial side of the show, and I will be right back with you. Share the Thom Hartmann Program with your friends. We're available on SiriusXM, Free Speech TV, Pacifica, commercial stations nationwide, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, on the Thom Hartmann app, and you can even tell your smart speaker to listen to the Thom Hartmann Program. So the Republican Party has sold themselves way back, all the way back to the 60s, really, as the serious party. We're the party of issues. We take stuff seriously. We have serious policy analysis. We have serious constitutional analysis. We are serious about the economy. We have all these think tanks, Heritage and Competitive Enterprise and Cato, and we've got the Federalist Society finding serious judges that we can put on the federal bench. And in response to 4 dead Americans, they got real serious. 5 House committees, 2 Senate committees. They created a separate House Select Committee for 4 dead Americans. That was Benghazi. Thousands of hours of testimony. The Secretary of State testifying for 8 hours straight. But when 5 people die at the Capitol, not so much. Got a new video about it over at ThomHartmann.com. Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you and Neil in Chicago. Hey, Neil, what's on your mind?
Hey, Tom. Yeah, this is just in response to the overwhelming hospitals, predominantly in the southern and poorer areas. My mom is from the area, and I had sent her some articles from The Hill, which is actually a center-right publication, saying, hey, these hospitals are overwhelmed, and it's because, the Delta variant, and no one's getting vaccinated. Her response was, it's the fact that the nurses have been forced to get the vaccine, that the hospitals are understaffed, and they can't get anyone in the beds.
Right.
So it's like,
which is, by the way, simply not true. Nurses are not walking out in droves. And that one hospital chain up in Maine that actually was the first to mandate everybody get vaccinated, out of their 6,000 employees, I think they lost 13. None of them were nurses. They were like orderlies and janitors and stuff.
Well, apparently this is a credible dialogue from the right.
Yeah.
That, they're all being forced to take this vaccine, and heck, somehow we find sympathy with that, and no one wants to take a nasty vaccine, So, yeah, that's how it is, and it's not because of the Delta variant, and it's not because of the people that didn't get vaccinated. So they're out.
So they're saying that the hospitals are overwhelmed because the nurses are walking out because they don't want to get vaccinated, which is just a flat-out lie. Amazing.
Well, of course. Yeah, but that's what she's been told, and all her friends, they all say it's correct, and everything other than that is liberal media.
I get it. Thanks a lot, Neil, for the call. That's grim news, and I'm sorry to hear about your mother. Dave in Montpelier, Vermont. Hey, Dave, what's on your mind today?
Hey, I want to go back to your comments on book burning.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use a term that I'll refer to as backdoor book burning. And that is what I refer to based on what Ron DeSantis has proposed, a number of months back. I think he basically came up with comments to the effect of he wanted people in academia, college students, professors, things of that type, to answer questionnaires on their political, personal views, religious, whatever it was going to encompass. And it was going to be used to just make sure that these people aren't thinking too liberally. You recall that?
Yeah. I don't recall the details, but I do recall reporting about it on this program.
Yeah. I find that very scary. This guy, I'll call it, he's got a trifecta of things. prior to that, he made a comment earlier in the year about saying, well, there's no systemic racism because black people have ascended to high political and corporate positions in this country.
Right, which is the position John Roberts took when he struck down the Voting Rights Act.
Yeah, and then obviously the way he's handled this COVID. But I think this one slipped under the radar. And, again, it's just so much projection of, that the left wants to control how you think, and here they go with these type of proposals.
Yeah.
I'll declare democracy dead in America till I see people tried and prosecuted for the crimes were committed, and I will refer to January 6th as Insurrection Day.
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it, Dave. I would like to see them held accountable at the ballot box at the very least. But Ron DeSantis thinks that these positions are going to get him into the White House, and I think that time has passed. And I think we're talking about a fringe movement now that has control of the Republican Party. But
yeah, I think so, because didn't they scare Mo Brooks away at a recent, speech a few weeks back?
Yeah, he avoided the speech, but he's still Mo Brooks, and he's still promoting insurrection. Dave, I gotta run, but thank you for the call. Don in Sheridan, Iowa. Hey, Don, what's up?
Yeah, hi, Tom. I was sitting there, how much of the blame is this on our society that we allow lies just to be told, and it's all over, and we don't think that that's bad. And so these people that are hearing this from TV stations, radios, lie after lie. And our society, we just go on. Wow, what happened to the days when right was right and wrong was wrong, and why are we this way now?
Well, even in the days when right was right and wrong was wrong, Don, there was a lot that wasn't being discussed. There was a lot that, that we were being lied to about and didn't even realize it. I mean, going back to, for example, the Gulf of Tonkin resolution with the Vietnam War. We've always had, shall we say, challenges with our press and always had a need for an alternative press. And we've also always had yellow journalism. I mean, the reason that we got into the Spanish-American War in 1898 was because of William Randolph Hearst. He was the largest newspaper publisher in America. He wanted a war. He thought it would sell papers. He sent a note to Frederick Remington down in Cuba and said, if you can get me pictures of the USS Maine, I will deliver a war. And he did. And, he was the Rupert Murdoch of his day. And he got fabulously rich by doing it, just like Murdoch has. He built San Simeon. I don't know if you've ever get to California. It's really worth, taking a tour. And you can see, how the moguls were doing toward the end of the 1900s, or the 1800s, rather, the 19th century. And so it's, this is not a new and unique problem. It's just gotten far worse. And I think that, we need to acknowledge that and deal with it. Don, thank you for the call. What a day, huh? What a day. There's so much going on. We will be back with Professor Richard Wolff right after this.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann.
These companies support the Thom Hartmann Program. They are HelloFresh, the #1 meal kit delivery service. More information at HelloFresh.com, code TOM. CB Distillery for sleeping and pain relief. More info at cbdistillery.com, code TOM. Dinovite, only the best all-natural pet supplements. More info at dinovite.com. Annie's Kit Clubs, creativity delivered right to your door. More info at annieskitclubs.com/Tom. Wild Alaskan Company, delicious, sustainably sourced seafood delivered right to your door. More information at wildalaskancompany.com/Tom. And Mack Weldon, reinventing men's basics. More info at mackweldon.com/Tom.
We say fight back!
It's another day in the Free Speech TV Fund Drive, another opportunity for you to participate, and boy, is this cool. Our frontline funders, Andrew in San Diego and Mike in San Francisco, have decided to pitch in and offer a $10,000 match. So your gift gets doubled, particularly if you give it by texting. They're really excited about this new text program where you can just, give to Free Speech TV on your phone by texting FSTV to 44321. Easy to remember, 44, like 44, but it's, 44321, right? As the numbers go down. And you will immediately get a text back with a link. You click on the link, and it'll pop up the browser in your smartphone or your tablet. And if you text out of your tablet, in fact, some folks can text out of their computer, in fact. And that will open the page where the Free Speech TV page that will show you how the fundraiser is going, how much they've raised altogether toward their goal, and you can just with a click, make your donation. And so, it's great. We've got a $10,000 match today. So your gift, your $1,000 becomes $2,000, your $10 becomes $20, your $100 becomes $200. And Free Speech TV offers all kinds of really kind of cool goodies to go along with that. With a $20 gift, there's the Free Speech TV sticker, either the sticker, the bumper sticker kind of sticker, or the clear kind of clingy, window sticker. With a $50 gift, there's the Free Speech TV tote bag available in 2 elegant models. With a $75 gift, you can get the Free Speech TV hat or the Free Speech TV official Thom Hartmann Program mug. Only available here and now. With a $100 gift, there's the notebook and pen, the Free Speech TV branded notebook and pen, or the Free Speech TV branded socks. Very elegant. With a $120 gift, this book, The Hidden History of American Healthcare, Why Sickness Bankrupts You and Makes Others Insanely Rich. This book, while it took me about a year to write this book, in many ways, I've been writing this book for the 18 years I've been doing this program. Healthcare has been a recurrent issue in the rants that I do and the concerns that I have and the guests that I have. There's a chapter in here about Wendell, Wendell Potter, who's a regular program on this program, back in the day when the backstory of when he worked in the insurance industry and the horrors that he witnessed. There is a how-to and how to bring about single-payer health care, how to do Medicare. There's a Medicare for All. There's a chapter warning about Medicare Advantage if you want to tell your friends about that scam. That's a chapter in the book. There's lots of really solid information. This, I think, is probably one of the most comprehensive, easy to read. A lot of storytelling in the book. It's a short book. It's only, where'd my copy go? It's around here someplace. Anyway, it's only 140 pages, 150 pages at the most. It's something that you can read, in a day if you're a fast reader, and very accessible. So that's with a $120 gift, and you get an autographed copy, which makes it worth a little bit more if you're going to sell it on eBay. Or with a $120 gift, you can get the Free Speech TV T-shirt. With a $240 gift, hang out with me for an hour and a couple of other people. Typically, it's fewer than 10 or fewer than a dozen, and we get together on Zoom for an hour, and one of the folks from Free Speech TV will moderate it, and you can you can ask me anything, and it's not recorded, it's not broadcast. We can talk about anything you'd like to talk about. That's with a $240 gift. With a $360 gift, there's the Thom Hartmann University box, which is the Free Speech TV socks, the Free Speech TV bumper sticker, a copy of an autographed copy of my brand new book, The Hidden History of American Healthcare, the Thom Hartmann Program mug, or the Free Speech TV hat. And with a $1,000 gift, of course, get in line to come visit us here in Portland and visit our humble studio. And it really is. We're in an office building. It's a very, very simple configuration. It's kind of funky. There's piles of books all over the place. Of course, this is where I work, so there's it's just like my home. There's piles of books all over there, thousands of books. And, you can hang out on our couch and meet Sean and Nate and Joyce and have a good time. And I think that's going to come. I think probably, within 6 months or so, we're all going to be vaccinated and feel safe enough that we can do these kinds of things. But right now, it's just a matter of getting in line and getting ready. So those are the goodies, but the bottom line, $10,000 match today. Whatever you give will be doubled. You can also sign up when you call in to 877-378-8669 or go to freespeech.org or text 44321, text FSTV to 44321. If you do that during this program, these are the premiums that are available to you, and our show gets the brownie points for it and all that kind of stuff. But now is the time to do it because your gift will be doubled. It's a surprise doubling on Wednesday here, so let's make it. Let's kick it out of the park or knock it out of the park, eh?
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Well, we have a lot on our plate today, and I'll be getting back to your calls in a little bit. But right now, Professor Richard Wolff is with us, the economist, the co-founder of democracyatwork.info, the author of numerous books. His most recent, The Sickness is the System, When Capitalism Fails to Save Us from Pandemics or Itself. Also now available as an ebook. The website's rdwolf with 2fs.com and democracyatwork.info. You can tweet him at Prof. Wolff, as in Professor Wolff, PROFWOLFF. And Professor Wolff, welcome back to the program. This Chinese property group, Evergrande, was blamed for yesterday's stock market blip, along with the news that the Republicans are going to refuse to try to raise the debt ceiling. This is all over the international financial news. It's all over the Financial Times. And I'm guessing most Americans have no idea what's going on, what this company is, why a company in China might move international markets, what they're up to, and what it might portend for the future. Can you fill us in?
Sure. Evergrande is one of the biggest companies in China. It is a real estate developer. At least that's what we would call it in this country. They build housing blocks. They build whole communities. Like real estate dealers everywhere in the world, they're highly leveraged. What that means is they borrow huge amounts of money, and they do that from syndicates of banks. So what you have is a large number of banks, both Chinese and non-Chinese, that is, banks in London and New York and Paris and so on, providing the various portions of the money lent to this builder to go ahead and build apartments. And what happened was, when you have the kind of debts it does, which are in the hundreds of billions of dollars, because China is a huge country and they're building like there's no tomorrow, as they have been for decades, we're talking about an enormous amount of money, and they have to pay interest on that enormous amount of money, and they have to pay back portions of the principal. And there was a payment due, if I understand the details, yesterday. Some of the debt they owe is to Chinese lenders. That's called domestic debt, and the other one is owed to foreigners, U.S. and other bankers, insurance companies, and whoever lends to them. There were rumors that they would not be able to make the money needed to pay off their domestic debts, which were due yesterday. Up until the last minute, these rumors swirled. The company did not deny it. The Chinese government in Beijing was mum about it. And so the rumors swirled because the whole world knows that much of the development in China is fueled by borrowing, and that therefore there's always a risk that the borrowers have overestimated what they can do and will find themselves in a pickle and unable to cover their debt. So there's lots of speculation been going on for decades that the Chinese will at this moment or that moment fail, that they will be unable to pay back their debts, that will plunge their banks into all kinds of difficulty, that will plunge foreigners. And so what you saw in the build-up to yesterday was anxiety in stock markets around the world, including here in New York, when people guesstimated whether or not they would fail to meet the payment and what the ripple effects of that would be. As has happened over and over again in the last 25 years, the rumors proved to be, I'll be polite here, wildly excessive. They made the domestic port of their payments yesterday. We don't know many details, but the payment was announced by both the company in question, Evergrande, and by some of its domestic lenders. And now the next question is, can they meet the foreign debt payment? It's due, I think, in a week or so. And again, you'll see some swirling rumors. But my advice, if that's where you're going with your question, Tom, is not to get excited about this. The Chinese are now so important a player that if one of their companies looks like it might not pay its debts, it's global financial news. Nothing announces the importance of the People's Republic of China onto the world scene like this one does. And number two, the Chinese government, acutely aware that it is now the number two economic powerhouse in the world, number two to the United States, and catching up with each passing week, no way are they going to permit anything to disrupt their arrival on the world scene as the ascending global economic power, which they clearly are. So you put all this together, and my guess is this is a tempest in a teapot. It will make a lot of noise, but mostly what you're seeing is the kind of up and down in the markets that we should have become familiar with in the West. China joining the West in terms of its economic importance has these kinds of bumps along the way. If anything, their government is in more active involvement in the economy than here, and so they will find ways, both public and private, both publicly announced and privately arranged, to get through this crisis, thereby impressing the whole world with how well they have their newfound power under control.
Which raises the question, how did a theoretically communist country end up with a nearly laissez-faire capitalist economy?
Well, they don't really have that, Tom. They have a mixture. If ever the term mixed economy was applicable, it is to China. Let me explain. If you take one kind of quote-unquote socialism, the Scandinavian or the Western European, what you have is private enterprise owned and operated by private individual capitalists or shareholders in the corporate form, with the government coming in with lots of controls and regulations. They call that socialism or democratic socialism or socialist democracy. At the other end of the range of these mixed economies, you have the Soviet Union. There, the government took over the ownership and operation, at least in industry, leaving the private sector quite small and limited to agricultural individual plots. What China did is start out being rather like the Soviet Union, and then when Mao passed, shifting over to occupy a place you might say is midway between the Soviet model, where the government owns and operates, and the Scandinavian model, where the government merely intervenes and regulates, but leaves the ownership and operation in private hands. What China is literally a mixture of those two, all of that under the regulatory control of the state and the Communist Party of China. What the Chinese claim, and by the way, they call this socialism with Chinese characteristics, which is another way of saying it isn't the Scandinavian and it isn't the Soviet. What they believe is they've found the model of a society that can, in a way, get the best of both of these arrangements by carefully dividing the economy, giving private enterprise the places where it excels, giving government-owned and operate the sectors where that excels, and keeping the whole thing under the control of a central authority so that when they have something that's really national in scope, they can mobilize both private and public resources to meet the challenge. And let me tell you, the world is taking a lot of notice because of COVID. I mean, let's get clear. The Chinese have had 6,000 deaths from COVID. That's 1% of the deaths from COVID in the United States, and China has 4 times the population of our country. This is an achievement that may not be a big news item in the United States, but I can assure you, and I read a lot of foreign newspapers, it is number one piece of news as the whole world tries to understand why was it possible for this poor country, which China was and in many ways still is, how was it possible for them to organize a system able to demonstrate that kind of prowess?
And what role does authoritarianism play in this? I mean, shouldn't it be unnecessary for them to crack down on Hong Kong's democracy movement, for example, and play all these authoritarian? Is that just about keeping the corrupt rulers in power, or is that absolutely necessary for this economic system?
My guess it's a mixture of both. In other words, on the one hand, they have hit upon a system. I mean, let me give you a couple more statistics. For the last 25 years, their annual GDP growth has been between 6 and 9%. Over the same 25 years, the annual GDP growth here in the United States has been between 2 and 3%. They're growing at 3 times the rate of the United States. Over the same period of time, the real wages of the average worker in China has quadrupled, whereas the real wage in the United States has stagnated. Hasn't gone down, but hasn't gone up either. I mean, these are achievements that make China the envy of literally every other country in the world, and certainly every country in Asia, Africa, Latin America, and so on. And so they're looking at a model that is working for them beyond what I suspect any of them foresaw as possible. But will you have, if you give the government the regulation power that it has, will you have examples of overstepping that power, using it where it isn't necessary, where it is even politically counterproductive? I think you have those examples. I don't know enough about Hong Kong or the Uyghurs and so on to be sure that that's what's going on, but it wouldn't surprise me. I think one of the great critiques of 20th century socialism has been the power of the government, and I know that that's being debated inside China for sure as we speak.
Fascinating stuff. I always learn something. Thank you so much, Professor Richard Wolff. Great talking with you.
My pleasure, Tom. Thank you.
And be sure to check out his new book, The Sickness is the System, When Capitalism Fails to Save Us from Pandemics or Itself. It's also now available as an ebook. We will be right back, 18 minutes past the hour.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Pick up your phone calls, actually, right after the break. Stick around. And welcome back. Jim in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Hey, Jim, thanks for watching us on Free Speech TV. What's on your mind today?
How you doing, Tom? Actually, I'm watching you on YouTube. Yeah.
Okay. It's all good.
Hey, listen. Yeah, very, very much so. I watch you every day of the week, so you're my mentor and you are my savior for information. Thank you for Richard Wolff. He's the greatest.
It's one smart guy.
Tom, I just want to say you scared me earlier, and I've been hearing about it for the last few days, Tom, about why we're having a problem in Congress about raising the debt ceiling?
Right.
Tom, I mean, my goodness, didn't they do that to Obama?
They did.
A couple of times? Shut down the government?
Yeah, and in fact, they shut down the government, and it caused the United States bond debt ratings to go down, which increased our interest rates right across the board, which made houses more expensive. It made cars, anything you buy on credit, more expensive. Increased inflation in the United States. It damaged our economy. You know, and the Republicans did it just because they wanted to damage Barack Obama. They did it just in advance of the 2012 election.
So they're pulling it again on Joe Biden. So, Tom, we do have a slim margin. Is there any Democrat that would not want to agree to raise the debt ceiling? I mean, I don't understand, Tom. I'm on Social Security disability. I'm 62 years old. I worked for 30-some years and got sick and can't work anymore. You mean to tell me they're going to kick out seniors out of their homes because we can't get goddamn Social Security? You know, we pay rent. You know, we pay utilities. We pay for food. We do all this. What are they going to do? Put everybody out on the streets because they don't want to raise the debt ceiling?
We'll see. We'll see. I don't think that it's ever been done through reconciliation, Jim, and that's what the Democrats are trying to do right now. They're trying to pass an appropriations bill that'll keep the government going until the end of the year and raise the debt ceiling, and at the same time, and they're going to try and pass it with reconciliation, which is going to require all 50 senators and, of course, a majority in the House. And, we'll see. It is high-stakes gambling is what's going on.
Well, Tom, I think that's more of a pertinent thing than even the bill the Reconstruction bill. I mean, my goodness, you're going to have people on the streets.
Yeah. No, this has the potential to do mind-numbing damage to the United States. And if they stretch it out, the Republicans weren't willing to do this when they went after Bill Clinton, when Newt Gingrich shut down Congress in 1996 over the debt ceiling, when they did it to Barack Obama in 2011 and shut down government. They weren't willing to take it so far as, they softened the economy. They created political damage for the Democratic president. But they weren't willing to take it so far that the United States actually defaulted on its debts, on treasury bonds and treasury bills. If they do that this time, we are screwed in unimaginable ways.
Oh, my goodness. I just can't believe what's going on.
It would create a worldwide crash. I mean, it literally would be, right now, the U.S. is, the dollar is the kind of the last currency, out there. And probably the world would look at us and say, okay, enough of that. We're going to go to the euro. Or, China wants the renminbi, the Chinese yuan, to be the world currency. I think the euro is more likely, but they would dump dollars, and that would screw us, too. Jim, thanks for the call. Hey, thanks so much for sharing our program and for reaching out to our stations and sponsors and letting them know that you're listening. It really means a lot to us. For our video this week for supporters of our program, you can find it over at thomhartmann.com. We're talking about endocrine disruptors as modulators of obesity. This is, in fact, the title of the article in Cell Endocrinology was Endocrine Disruptors as Obesogens. Why is it that almost a third of Americans are obese? And that's not true of, say, Italians. And it turns out there's actually a single measurable, definable variable. There's a category, or actually several broad categories of chemicals that are found in the American food supply in particular places, and therefore fairly easy to avoid, that actually disrupt our endocrine system, our hormone system, and cause us to crave more food, to eat more food, and also downregulate our metabolism so that we burn less energy so that food gets stored as fat. You can check it out at thomhartmann.com. And welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you, and Paul in Elmhurst, Illinois. Hey, Paul, thanks for calling. What's on your mind today?
Hey, Tom, I was just thinking, is the likes of Jim Jordan and Boebert and Green and Holly, do you think they're so far down the rabbit hole they just can't get out of it, so they have to go forward with all the garbage that they're pulling?
I think what happened, Paul, is that there was this window of opportunity, and it lasted probably the 4 years of the Trump administration, and maybe an additional 6 months of the tail end of 2016 before the election, where if you, as a Republican politician, adopted Trumpy positions, and there's a whole spectrum of them, but they're basically right-wing populist, kind of neo-fascist populist positions. If you adopted those positions, you would win Republican primaries and you could win general elections against Democrats. And I think that what has changed in the last 6 months, particularly, and I think this is as much of a change as we saw in the last 6 months of 2016. I think what has changed is that those Trumpy positions that are held by people like Marjorie Taylor Greene or Lauren Boebert or Matt Gaetz, Jim Jordan, I think that those Trumpy positions will still win you a Republican primary, and this in a way is kind of good news for Democrats, but I don't think they'll win you a general election outside of some of the most extreme, all-white, very reactionary rural areas in America. And so I think that these people's day has passed. And, I may be wrong. Time will tell. In fact, the next election is going to tell us, but that's what I think is happening, Paul. Did I answer your question?
Well, yeah. And let me give you a little tidbit here that I got. My niece is an emergency room doctor in Belfast in the north of Ireland. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to her yesterday, and she says that they're afraid now of hospitals closing down in the winter because of COVID. Could be so bad in Europe come the winter.
Yeah. And this is because you've got foreign trolls who are also promoting vaccine skepticism across Europe as well as in North America.
We're in a world of hurt, Tom. That's all I can say.
Yeah, it's a tough one, Paul. It's a real tough one. Paul, thanks a lot for the call. Yeah, and on top of COVID, you've got flu season coming too, which also puts people in the hospital. It's a tough time. It's a tough time, but we will get through this, right? Here we are, the Thom Hartmann Program, the place where despair is not an option. And it's really not. We will get through this. And what's the old saying? What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 202-808-9925.
I think in many ways we actually are stronger now than we were before COVID. And certainly COVID helped us get rid of Donald Trump. It's a small blessing, right? Hey, it's another day in the Free Speech TV Fund Drive, another opportunity for you to participate, and boy, is this cool. Our frontline funders, Andrew in San Diego and Mike in San Francisco, have decided to pitch in and offer a $10,000 match, so your gift gets doubled, particularly if you give it by texting. They're really excited about this new text program where you can just, give to Free Speech TV on your phone by texting FSTV to 44321. Easy to remember, 44, like 44, but it's, 44321, right? As the numbers go down. And you will immediately get a text back with a link. You click on the link, and it'll pop up the browser in your smartphone or your tablet. And if you text out of your tablet, in fact, some folks can text out of their computer, in fact. And that will open the page where the Free Speech TV page that will show you how the fundraiser is going, how much they've raised altogether toward their goal, and you can just with a click, make your donation. And so, it's great. We've got a $10,000 match today. So your gift, your $1,000 becomes $2,000, your $10 becomes $20, your $100 becomes $200, and Free Speech TV offers all kinds of really kind of cool goodies to go along with that. With a $20 gift, there's the Free Speech TV sticker, either the sticker, the bumper sticker kind of sticker, or the clear kind of clingy, window sticker. With a $50 gift, there's the Free Speech TV tote bag available in 2 elegant models. With a $75 gift, you can get the Free Speech TV hat or the Free Speech TV official Thom Hartmann Program mug. Only available here and now. With a $100 gift, there's the notebook and pen, the Free Speech TV branded notebook and pen, or the Free Speech TV branded socks. Very elegant. With a $120 gift, this book, The Hidden History of American Healthcare, Why Sickness Bankrupts You and Makes Others Insanely Rich. This book, while it took me about a year to write this book, in many ways I've been writing this book for the 18 years I've been doing this program. Healthcare has been a recurrent issue in the rants that I do and the concerns that I have and the guests that I have. There's a chapter in here about Wendell, Wendell Potter, who's a regular program on this program, back in the day when the backstory of when he worked in the insurance industry and the horrors that he witnessed. There is a how-to and how to bring about single-payer health care, how to do Medicare. There's a Medicare for All. There's a chapter warning about Medicare Advantage if you want to tell your friends about that scam. That's a chapter in the book. There's lots of really solid information. This, I think, is probably one of the most comprehensive, easy to read. A lot of storytelling in the book. It's a short book. It's only, where'd my copy go? It's around here someplace. Anyway, it's only 140 pages, 150 pages at the most. It's something that you can read, in a day if you're a fast reader. And very accessible. So that's with a $120 gift, and you get an autographed copy, which makes it worth a little bit more if you're going to sell it on eBay. Or with a $120 gift, you can get the Free Speech TV T-shirt. With a $240 gift, hang out with me for an hour and a couple of other people. Typically, it's fewer than 10 or fewer than a dozen, and we get together on Zoom for an hour, and one of the folks from Free Speech TV will moderate it, and you can you can ask me anything. And, it's not recorded, it's not broadcast. We can talk about anything you'd like to talk about. That's with a $240 gift. With a $360 gift, there's the Thom Hartmann University box, which is the Free Speech TV socks, the Free Speech TV bumper sticker, a copy of an autographed copy of my brand new book, The Hidden History of American Healthcare, the Thom Hartmann Program mug, or the Free Speech TV hat. And with a $1,000 gift, of course, get in line to come visit us here in Portland and visit our humble studio. And it really is. We're in an office building. It's a very, very simple configuration. It's kind of funky. There's piles of books all over the place. Of course, this is where I work, so there's it's just like my home. There's piles of books all over there. There are thousands of books. And, you can hang out on our couch and, meet Sean and Nate and Joyce and have a good time. And I think that's going to come. I think probably, within 6 months or so, we're all going to be vaccinated and feel safe enough that we can do these kinds of things. But right now, it's just a matter of getting in line and getting ready. So those are the goodies, but the bottom line, $10,000 match today. Whatever you give will be doubled. You can also sign up when you call in to 877-378-8669 or go to freespeech.org or text 44321, text FSTV to 44321. If you do that during this program, these are the premiums that are available to you, and our show gets the brownie points for it and all that kind of stuff. But now is the time to do it because your gift will be doubled. It's a surprise doubling on Wednesday here, so let's kick it out of the park or knock it out of the park, eh? Change starts with you. You can be calling your Democratic or Republican representatives to let them know what you think by calling 202-224-3121. It's the Capitol switchboard. It'll get you right through to them. So for our Thom Hartmann Insider videotape that is over, or videotape, YouTube, whatever you want to call it, private video that's available over at thomhartmann.com. I'm talking this week about Donald Trump just completely giving in to Erdogan of Turkey, the president of Turkey, the dictator of Turkey now. And this theory that Jared Kushner okayed the killing, at least the capture, perhaps the killing of Jamal Khashoggi, and to Mohammed bin Salman, and that Erdogan has the tape of it, and that when he called up Donald Trump a couple weeks ago and said, I want you to pull out of Syria and give me those Kurds so I can kill them and take that land, that he did it because Erdogan threatened him. And then Erdogan comes to the United States, a week or two later and gets a whole state dinner thing. Check it all out. It's over at ThomHartmann.com. I think you'll find it fascinating. And welcome back. Thom Hartmann with you. I just wanted to give you kind of a moment of geek, a moment of memory, as it were. This is President Dwight Eisenhower.
Every gun that is made, every warship launched, every rocket fired signifies, in the final sense, a theft from those who hunger and are not fed, those who are cold and are not clothed. This world in arms is not spending money alone. It is spending the sweat of its laborers, the genius of its scientists, the hopes of its children. The cost of one modern heavy bomber is this: a modern brick school in more than 30 cities. It is 2 electric power plants, each serving a town of 60,000 population. It is 2 fine, fully equipped hospitals. It is some 50 miles of concrete pavement. We pay for a single fighter plane with 500,000 bushels of wheat. We pay for a single destroyer with new homes that could have housed more than 8,000 people. This is not a way of life at all, in any true sense. Under the cloud of threatening war, it is humanity hanging from a cross of iron.
That's Dwight Eisenhower's famous Cross of Iron speech. It was given while he was President of the United States. And boy, would I like to hear something like that again. I think we're on the edge of it. And this guy was a Republican, right? He was the last legitimately elected Republican president who didn't commit treason or follow one who committed treason to become president. Dwight Eisenhower. Amazing. Anyhow, let's pick up your phone calls here. Grant in Ventura, California. Hey, Grant, what's on your mind?
Hi, Tom. I just want to connect a few more dots and add to Senator Whitehouse's information on justice or injustice Kavanaugh.
Sure.
All Trump's appointments, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Barrett, have something in common. They all served on G.W. Bush's legal team that argued before the Supreme Court to stop the recount in Florida and give Bush the 2000 election.
Now, I knew that Kavanaugh had. I didn't know that Gorsuch and Amy Coney Barrett had served on that team.
Yes, they had served on that team.
And John Roberts was one of the lead guys on that team.
Yeah.
Which is why Bush put him in the Supreme Court. That's amazing.
Exactly.
So these are all people who have helped steal an election.
Exactly. And it should be noted, Tom, that Roger Stone initiated the stopping of the recount in Florida, sending white men by bus with baseball bats to stop the Wade County recount process.
Yeah, I remember
and
that.
Stone would later bring violent insurrection by bus from Georgia to try and block Biden's certification.
Yeah.
So Stone is tied to both the Koch brothers and to George Bush.
And to Richard Nixon.
To say that George Bush is the sanity of the Republican Party is like saying Goebbels was the sanity of the Nazi Party.
Right.
And I learned this information from reading Dark Money, which is a
Jane Mayer's
fantastic
book
by Jane Mayer.
Yeah. Yeah. Remarkable stuff. I guess it just kind of stands alone. Grant, thank you very much for the call. And, here we are, right? We've got to do something. Howard in New York City. Hey, Howard, what's up?
Yeah, hi.
I get so tired of the Democrats describing problems well, but not really fixing them. So I had an idea, and tell me if I'm crazy, that you can pretty much single-handedly force Manchin to give up the filibuster and vote for H.R. 1. And here's what I'm thinking. We had discussed last week about North Korea being so afraid of the spies and the jailings, then Abbott in Texas. And you said, yeah, but it's not only them, it's also Hitler in 1933 and Mussolini in the 20s. My idea would be for you to invite the Lincoln Project, I don't care with Rick Wilson or Steve Schmidt, tell them that the problem now is that Manchin, by not voting for H.R. 1, will single-handedly be allowing Trump to become president and bestowing on Trump all of the Abbott things, the Mussolini powers, the Hitler powers, put it all over West Virginia and embarrass the hell out of them.
I think they already know this, Howard. I mean, Steve Schmidt has been ranting about this at some length, as has Rick Wilson, although Steve Schmidt, I think, is more high profile, for some time.
And it's having no effect.
No, not to the best of my knowledge. And I believe that they have run ads against the filibuster. I may be wrong about that. I'm not whether they've run ads against the filibuster, but it's and it's tough making common cause with Republicans, but they're onto this. I mean, they're absolutely right. So anyhow, Howard, thank you. It's an idea, but I just I don't think it's going to work. Keep thinking though. You got some good ones, Howard. Norm in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Hey, Norm, how's Florida?
No, it's not Fort Lauderdale. It's Greenville.
It's Louisville, Florida?
Greenville.
I'm sorry, say it again. You need to get your mouth closer to your microphone, Norm.
Greenville.
Greenville. Okay, got it. So what's up?
I wanted to know why it's taking so long to put Trump in jail.
That's a good question. Prosecutors have an appropriate tendency to want to cross all the T's and dot all the I's, get all the evidence, collect all the data. It's looking increasingly like people in the Trump organization, which I think could probably be accurately described as an organized crime operation, are going to go down. The question is, will any of them rat out Trump? Because he runs that business like a mob boss. He puts nothing in writing. He doesn't give explicit directives. He implies things. Michael Cohen has talked about this at length. And I think they're also terrified, people like Alan Weisselberg, I think they're terrified of testifying against Trump, not just because they're afraid of vengeance from Donald Trump, but because Donald Trump is tied into multiple criminal networks that employ assassination. Both the Russian oligarch network, there are other foreign oligarch networks that Trump is part of, and just the good old-fashioned Italian mafia in New York City that Trump has been in deep with since the 60s. So, I think it's really, really tough to go. I mean, they're basically going after a mob boss, and who also had the power of being president of the United States for a while. So I think it's going to be a real challenge for them, but I am not despairing that nothing can be done. And I think the fact that Trump has been squealing so loudly this week after they just discovered 3 million new tax documents in one of their witnesses' basements is some indication of that. Norm, thanks for the call. John in Queens, New York. Hey, John, what's on your mind today?
Yeah, how you doing, Tom? Listen, I have an idea that this whole thing about the debt ceiling is a bluff on the part of the Republicans. I mean, I don't know exactly. I wish I could have called before Professor Wolff was on, but it seems to me that a move like that would destroy the fortunes of, the people who actually own the Republicans, the Kochs, the Mercers, the DeVoses, as well as the major corporations. I mean, how would that affect J.P. Morgan? How would that affect Goldman Sachs? I'm thinking it's a bluff, and they won't be permitted to pull. And Romney, I mean, Romney's a multimillionaire, almost a billionaire. How would that affect his money?
Well, there's a foundational assumption at the base of your question, John, that is a dangerous and incorrect assumption, respectfully.
Okay.
And that is that when the
okay.
economy crashes, it hurts everybody. That's not true. If you know that the economy is going to crash, a crash in the economy can be your best friend. When Joseph Kennedy, John Kennedy's father, in the 1920s, 1920, he famously told this story. In fact, Gloria Swanson, who used to be a friend of mine before she died, in her autobiography, she talks about this. Joe Kennedy, when a shoeshine boy offered him a stock tip, he thought, okay, this is it. It's time to get out of the market. He got out of the market. He had a pile of cash. The market crashed, and after the market crashed, he went back in and he bought like there was no tomorrow. And he ended up one of the richest men in America as a consequence of that, as did J.P. Morgan. So if you know how to bet against the market, and these guys know how to do it, it's called selling short, or if you know how to just get liquid, just convert everything into cash. And there's been like $1 trillion pulled out of the market in the last year of people moving it into essentially cash instruments. I think these people are ready.
About $15 trillion, a $15 trillion impact. I think that would be just hard to avoid for everybody.
I think that for generally speaking, I think that's true. But for the mind-bogglingly rich billionaires who control the Republican Party, I think they're insulated from it. John, I got to run.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann. Visit ThomHartmann.com for audio and video archives.
I don't think that the Republicans are playing chicken here. The Democrats are going to have to rescue the Republic all by themselves, and they're going to get no credit for it. And welcome back, Michael in Chicago. Hey, Michael, thanks for watching us on YouTube. What's up?
Hey, I just finished your book on the hidden history of American oligarchy, and I'm doing, as a hobby, but also to write a book, I'm revamping the United States Constitution to be more of a democracy and get all the best ideas from the left wing. But I am stuck on the implementation of the reinstating the fairness doctrine and the telecommunication laws that required local ownership of media. How would those affect your show, The Young Turks, The Majority Report with Sam Cedar, Democracy Now! With Amy Goodman? Like, how would it interact with that?
Well, first of all, I'm guessing that you're operating under a misunderstanding of what the fairness doctrine required. It did not require that radio or television stations have politically balanced programming. All it required was that if the ownership of a station, and this was a common thing back in the day, back when I worked at WJIM TV when I was 17 years old, back in 1966, the station, or 68 I guess it was, the owner of the station would come on and give an editorial in the evening, a little 60-second editorial. And we had to balance that. In fact, it was part of my job to help find the guy, some local guy who would say the opposing voice, right? But if it wasn't the owner of the station, there was no requirement for balance. That was the only requirement for balance. And then the other part of the fairness doctrine required that stations do what was called, quote, programming in the public interest. And mostly what that meant was run public service announcements and, just don't get too crazy. So the fairness doctrine would have no effect on me or my radio stations whatsoever. The Telecommunications Act allowed for massive consolidation of stations and allowed for multi-state ownership of radio and television stations, and led to 3 companies controlling probably 80% of all the radio stations in the United States, and one television network, Sinclair, owning over 200 television stations. If the original ownership rules were put into place, forcing a breakup of those so that they went back to local ownership, I think the principal effect that it would have on my show and on other progressive shows is that we would suddenly have hundreds of stations who might be interested in carrying our shows, rather than just taking the right-wing stuff that it's being crammed down from, the billionaire ownership and management of these big networks. Answer your question, Michael?
I think so. So it wouldn't, if they were implemented as a law or a constitutional article, it wouldn't be like, oh, TYT is just abolished now by law.
No. And by the way, these are not constitutional issues. I mean, well, arguably they are because they fall under the Commerce Clause. But you know, the FCC, the FCC regulation, the ownership laws, all that kind of stuff, those are simply laws. And the Supreme Court has determined over the years on multiple occasions that they were entirely constitutional laws, because the federal government does have the power to regulate interstate commerce in the United States, which is what most of this falls under.
Okay. All right, cool. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Michael, thanks a lot for the call. We'll be back. It's 49 minutes past the hour, coming up on 10 minutes before the hour, and I will be back with you taking your calls in just 60 seconds. Please hang on. We'll be right back. Stick around. Missed my opening rant today? It's usually published over at HartmannReport.com, where you can read it and share it with your friends for free. Check it out, HartmannReport.com. So Rand Paul is now echoing Louis Gohmert. Remember Louis Gohmert back in the day, back in the after 9/11, when he was talking about terror babies. There's Muslims coming to the United States to have babies who will be citizens, and we can't kick them out anymore. And then they're going to grow up and they're going to be terrorists. Yeah, and we all kind of laughed at Louis Gohmert. So now Rand Paul is talking about how the Biden administration is taking kids from down at the border who may have it, COVID, and they're plucking them up and putting them all over the United States as if they're wishing to seed the country with a new variant. Right. But that's not half of it. Then he goes on to say that, for him, quote, the bottom line for those who are saying I won't go to a restaurant unless everybody's vaccinated, he says, mind your own business. Well, Rand, it is our business. Public health is all of our businesses. I've got a whole new rant about Rand Paul's bizarre take on the public good over at ThomHartmann.com. It's a video. You can check it out there. Angie. And welcome back. Picking up your phone calls. Luigi in Pensacola, Florida. Hey, Luigi, what's on your mind today?
Good afternoon, Tom, and thank you, Professor. Let's see, should I take a Hartmann economics class today or a Hartmann political science class? I'm dumbfounded. But anyway, there was a gentleman earlier that called about, the supposed post-secondary education bill in Florida, and I have the copy of it here. Essentially, and I know you've spoken about it before, essentially what it does, it required the Florida State college system to annually assess the intellectual freedom and viewpoint diversity, and also it shielded faculty members or say staff members or anyone who was afraid of any ideas or opinions that they might find uncomfortable. That's basically part of what the bill does. Okay, and of course it's being challenged right now. But Ronnie, our governor, DeSantis, he bragged about last week when some of the lower courts overturning his mask mandates and other mandates, but he doesn't care about that because it's going on to the circuit courts and other courts that he appointed all the judges, and he bragged about it, and sure enough, they upheld his point of view in the courts. So, I mean, I'm sorry to go on, Tom, because what you had today was an incredible array. So, Professor, I'll let you. I just can't. I love talking to you.
Yeah, well, thank you, Luigi. And you're absolutely right. And this is one of similar laws that are being introduced all across the United States to basically prevent teachers from teaching anything that might, quote, make people uncomfortable. And what that is code for is teaching the history of race in the United States. And the people that it would make uncomfortable are the white supremacists who think that only white people should be running this country, only white people should be making decisions in this country, and only white people should be on the media. It's like,
yes, sir, Tom.
They just want to take America back to the 1950s, because we really were there for a long, long time. And it's very unfortunate. Thanks a lot for the call, Luigi. It's a good one. Thank you for adding to the contributing to the conversation. Matt in Spartansburg, South Carolina. Hey, Matt, what's on your mind today?
Not much, Tom. How you doing today?
I'm fine. What's up?
I was calling to talk about China. China with their COVID deaths. I think that they're severely undernumbered, if I might say.
I'm guessing you're right, particularly in the regions that where the Uyghurs live. But who knows? They're claiming that they've got about 6,000 COVID deaths. We have 660,000.
Yeah, South Carolina has 12. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, on the one hand. On the other hand, they're vaccinating like crazy. They shut down the whole country. They have extraordinary police powers. So, it's possible.
Yeah, but why? Why would they want to, essentially lie?
Because they don't want to look bad in the eyes of the world.
I guess that does make sense.
Yeah, I'm guessing that the 6,000 figure is probably a real figure for most of metropolitan areas in China. But if you go into the areas near Tibet and the far western part of China, and particularly the area, I forget what it's called. It starts with an S, but I can't. Anyhow, the area where the Uyghurs live. I'm guessing that there's been an explosion that hasn't been dealt with, and they're just, allowing that to be maybe even population control. Who knows? Because, getting honest information out of China is very difficult. But they did do a good job of cracking down. Taiwan, which is not a communist state. Taiwan is a progressive democracy. It's much smaller. They only have 23 million people. But Taiwan shut down their country. They got their first COVID case a day after we got ours. Ours was January 20th, 2020. Theirs was January 21st. And they use their national health program. They have a single-payer healthcare system in Taiwan, which is very similar to, in some ways, to what China has now put into place. They use that for testing and contact tracing. And for the entirety of 2020, they had fewer than 20 people die of COVID and just a few thousand cases in the whole country for a whole year. And, now they're up to 16,000 cases and about 800 deaths in Taiwan. Most of that has been from the Delta variant, but they're vaccinating like crazy. So they're getting past that. So it's not like it's impossible. If you have an aggressive program, if you aggressively shut down the country and take it seriously. Matt, I got to run, but thanks for the call. Thanks for listening to us on Sirius XM. And thanks so much for being with us today. And don't forget, democracy is not a spectator sport. It does require all of us, all the time, every day. Get out there, get active, participate. The number for Congress, 202-224-3121. Give them a piece of your mind, right? One thing, just pick one topic to talk about and give your 2 senators and your member of the House a shout. Tag you're it. Have a great afternoon. Be good to yourself and the people around you. Thank you.
You've been listening to Thom Hartmann. For audio and video archives, visit thomhartmann.com.
These companies support the Thom Hartmann Program. They are HelloFresh, the #1 meal kit delivery service. More information at hellofresh.com, code TOM. CB Distillery for sleeping and pain relief. More info at cbdistillery.com, code TOM. Dinovite, only the best all-natural pet supplements. More info at dinovite.com. Annie's Kit Clubs, creativity delivered right to your door. More info at annieskitclubs.com/Tom. Wild Alaskan Company, delicious, sustainably sourced seafood delivered right to your door. More information at wildalaskancompany.com/Tom. And Mack Weldon, reinventing men's basics. More info at mackweldon.com/Tom.